All right. Hello, everyone. How are you all doing? I'm still sort of setting things up. We have Lalek. Good to see you here, buddy. The Mad, Didi, Alexander, Ali, John West, Zach, Alex, Starseed, Feather, Carmel. So many of you. Wow. Okay, the Med is sort of like... I'm just looking at all the recent questions. The Med is asking if I could scan here on stream. No donations required. It's not a big deal. I'm gonna switch up things. Just a sec. Okay. Yeah. I could try scanning things. That'd be something. If you don't mind sharing personal information, giving me details and stuff, usually when I do sessions, people are very descriptive. They give me details of, what kind of issues they're going through, whatever they're going through in life, physical pains, anything like that, their backstory. So whatever hooks you can sort of give me, I can sort of look into that and see if I can actually access anything. Entities, past lives. A lot of times just reading the email information allows me to sort of like just jump at it and sort of see whatever. People can sometimes write a few sentences and I'll be able to access like, hey, yeah, you've been abducted or blah blah blah. Various stuff. And then it's up to you if you pick it up and all. We could actually use the cans for reading. It works kind of like a... similar to lie detector, but it's more like reading the energy and thought forms. So whatever I will focus on, if it's actually a real deal, the needle will read and you would know if it's a real deal or not, or just like something I pick up or not. So there's that. Like, I don't know. We could try it. Hi, John Roberts. Good to see you here, buddy. But yeah. Zach is asking, tea and crumpets. What's crumpets? Crumpet. Okay. Small griddle cake. Man, I want one. I'm sort of staying away from sugar. But it doesn't necessarily say it's sweet. It's just unsweetened. Mm-hmm. Okay, it's unsweetened. I might go for that. Yeah. Sadly, not now, but it's definitely a thing. Okay, Alex is asking, curious if you've seen anything new with Nibiru and Anunnaki presence around Earth. The thing is, it's kind of like always there. Like we're talking about, like, oh, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. Something's gonna big like happen and stuff like that. Like, oh well, it's not there yet. So, the thing with like the whole Nibiru thing, just consider it being kind of like a spaceship, like the whole planet, or how to say, like there's this video. I'm not sure how many of you have seen it, but basically like the whole kind of like Earth and other planets were just like spinning like a vortex and constantly traveling through space, kind of like that. So just consider Nibiru being like a half planet, half spaceship that can completely be controlled and like directed and stuff. And you know they have tech to turn invisible and other things, to sort of like say it. Anunnaki always there as well, except like the ones sort of like been taken over and all. So anyway. Yeah, the Matt, like I only like sort of like I'm sort of going through all questions back and forth, like top and bottom, top and bottom. I only charge money to sort of survive, but if I have like plenty of money, or let's say I take care of all the recent clients, I don't want to take money for sessions if I can. So you know, like right now, you don't need it before. Feel free to ask me stuff and ask me to look into things because I'm totally okay with it. And come on, it's a stream. I'm here to serve you. I'm here to give you my all. So just ask questions, ask any help or anything. Have me anything to look into. It's all good. No worries. Okay, Didi saying, the morning you emailed my session recording, I woke up and felt better than I had in years. Lighter, happy, motivated. About 3 hours later, extreme exhaustion hit and knocked me out for 2 days. Why? Didi, consider this being kind of like, I'm just gonna change the music in the background. The whole thing with these sessions we're doing, it's like a lot of cleanup. We're cleaning up a lot of like these implants, mechanisms, cores, and other things that have been actually affecting you for years. And not just this lifetime, but all the others. We clear out past things, and you know, it's a whole lot to clean up. And even though in sessions, sometimes I just do it for 20 minutes, we do get like lots of results. But at the same time, after all the cleanup, it's like a lot of this like things goes away. And you have to let yourself or your body to heal. It's kind of like a rehab where you need time to get your energy back, where you need time to eat up and sort of like let all things sort of sit and get in place and stuff. So it's a big thing. Some people after sessions will feel the exhaustion, will feel like, whew, that like a lot of shit leaves your space. And now it's like they're not there to feed off on you, and like you're just out in a whole new zone. So you need to do some having this process, which means like drinking, eating, getting something back, touching, getting close to physical, as in like contact, like when you can sort of feel it. This helps, but resting as much as possible is a thing. Other people after sessions will feel better, like, hey, I think like my life changed. And then give or take a few days, weeks, months, they get attacked. Why? It's because it's kind of like this work we do sets off alarms. And basically, these beings see like, oh shit, this godlike, powerful being just sort of broke our systems, broke our control, and can get away and actually like affect us. They are afraid, so they have to attack us and have to mess with us in one way or another, which is why we win like, hey, life changed, we're actually doing good. Next thing you know, we're like, like next day, it's like paradigm crash. You do good, and boom, and like, you know, like it's already like more difficulties. It's kind of like climbing a mountain. You know, you reach the top, yay, and you see the bigger mountain, and you have to suffer and go through all this stuff. It's kind of like this process, like, you know, you're godlike beings that are being targeted. they don't want you getting powerful, they don't want you getting free of their control. So this sort of thing is to be expected. All I can sort of suggest is like be sure to get plenty of rest and let yourself sort of heal and recover. Look for things that like fill yourself up with, like energy. Try imagining your other aspects coming back or like sort of connecting with you. That would be a thing, but it's still a thing. Okay, John West is asking, in the George Orwell prison books, which ones talk about the universe creation thing? I'm going to get one of them. Okay, universe creation one. Okay. I think it's. Let me see. There's a few of it included. It's like life transformation and clear talk. And clear talk is kind of like all in one. So look up for the high speed results life transformation formula. Like the high speed results life transformation formula. Look that up. I think it's one of those where it's like, like the physical universe, my universe. It's two separate things, but if you create things in your own universe, it's gonna start manifesting it. So there's that. Okay, the digestive issues. I think like I've seen you on Instagram. We could tune into that. So okay. So I guess something we could do right now is focus on getting some reads on your digestive issues and all. So I'm sort of like letting myself to zero out. Like right now, like there's part of me like super connected to this whole persona or whatever I am, and just trying to give my all to you. And I'm sort of like being connected to some of the personalities I have in different things. Now I have to go into this blank state where I sort of like zero out or like blank out everything from my side, all my personalities, beingnesses, things I wanted to address, and like basically just sort of turn it all off. Become a complete blank state so that whatever I am and experienced would not affect whatever I'm going to look into when it comes to you. Now I'm sort of like turning everything off, and just sort of I've seen you on Instagram, Med. So I'm sort of like focusing on your looks and the thing with digestive issues. Like, what's up? There's definitely stuff from past lives, like a few things are popping up with being in kind of like, not physical universe, but like fourth, fifth dimension realms, kind of like sort of medieval stuff where you're being stabbed with a sword, so, stabbed through guts, and all of a sudden, it's not a sudden death, it's like, talking with all the gore details, bleeding out to the moment, but like, it's kind of like suffering, and there's a part like, your stomach hurts and you're like sort of like really holding on to it. It's part like one of those incidents where it's a build-up thing. Like from this one, it's kind of like one little engram or like a scar, and the whole cashew crackers that sort of like builds up. We also have like an entity cluster close to your stomach who's, it's like, consider them being like little parasites, sort of like clustering in one space. They're coming up as a one little ball, and constantly sort of like being able to affect your energy, sort of like suck it, drain it, and constantly sort of like just target your stomach. There's also, okay, like I'm seeing the bigger stuff. Finally, we're getting to something deeper, Med. So right now, like for those that are joining, we're doing like this like quick scan on Med, seeing what is his problem, or like what can I find regarding him. His issues is like issues with digestion, and something bigger that I noticed is kind of like you have like a great access to information from your past lives. From like you're able to access your past lives, a lot of like beings that you have communicated with, and I'm seeing like you know, like with all this like massive information, it's kind of like can overwhelm you. Like you can access like how to say it. You're really saying this in this physical body, like right now, focus with who you are as a person and stuff, and then all of a sudden, this massive information, like rain, like a storm, fills you up with all the events, technologies, beings, your other past lives, and you can really sort of like digesting it, you know, digesting information, digesting all this knowledge and stuff. And I'm seeing like there is an implant that is blocking your ability to get all the info back like you're supposed to. It's like just consider yourself like this like radio channel that can tune into any of your past lives and all of your experiences, and basically like okay, that happened, you're just downloading information, knowledge, and basically sort of like sort of getting it all back. And with this implant, it's stopping all of that. It's not allowing you to connect to your past lives, to other aspects, and it's like they're trying to limit your knowledge and information so that you wouldn't be able to share it with others. And it's kind of like digesting information, like sort of like just turning it off, but at the same time that whole, it's kind of like a double-sided coin or something, where our beliefs, like some people, they don't want to wake up, like physical body falls asleep and they're like in this comfort zone, like, I don't want to wake up. But at the same time, it is their awareness that does not want to wake up when they go out of body. So the awareness stays in like a sleep state and you cannot get out, but they want to get out. And so with you, it's kind of like turning off the digestion of all this information and like not letting anything go through, but at the same time it affects your stomach. So I can sort of like try to get rid of this implant and see if that's gonna help, sort of just like as a quickie. Okay, yeah, so like from my perspective I sort of like got rid of it, and now the rest, like let's say with these kind of things, we're sort of like scanning whatever's going on and stuff, and we got rid of like this little entity cluster around your stomach and this like a thing with digesting information and stuff. So now we just sort of removed one little bit layer of this massive freaking onion, right? So just because we changed one little thing doesn't mean that your life's gonna change like that and you're like, oh, clear, never gonna have digestion issues. Like we just removed one layer and we sort of like, no, okay, that's one of the things that was going on. So like that's like a little quickie to give you an idea of like sort of like how it works or what you can get out of it. And with you, I could guess like right now you could try, let's say, just getting your energy, sort of like focusing on yourself and filling yourself with energy. And because we cleared out the space in the stomach area, be sure to, let's say, like meditation and stuff or whatever kind of thing where you relax and just focus of the energy filling you up, because we cleared out a lot of space, so it's like empty right now, right? And you have to put something good in it so that nothing would be able to come back to that empty space. So that'd be like a little tip for you, and that's like a super short quick scan like a thing. So, you know, like I'm just saying, we'll see if it works or if you have any changes stuff, but like for a little quickie, that'd be the thing. And then scrolling up to the questions and seeing what is up. Oh, I'm gonna talk about my dimension. Question from Ali. So my dimension, which one? Are we talking about the sort of like a quick little project we started on Discord or something else? So if you could sort of be more specific about it, I'll be able to answer it. Okay, Christian is asking, how can memory of past lives be opened up? For me, the easiest way is to look at the issues you have today, because a lot of our things, especially these massive triggers or something that stops us, and like this massive block, for example, some people are really shy when communicating with others. They might have relationship issues, they might sort of have this blockage that does not allow them to, let's say, get money and stuff. All of these things, it sort of builds up and depends on what kind of issues you have in life. But for me, let's say something that I would look on. Basically, let's say earlier days, like about a year ago, and for a few years, I had these cramps on my menstrual cycle, and it would really hurt to the point where like it hurts so much I have to take pills, and I'm still like laying in bed like I wish I would be dead. Like it really hurts a lot, and it's like can't move, can't stand, can't sit, can't lay. It's like just like stay still, don't move, and hope it's gonna go away after like taking some ibuprofen and stuff. And that was the state I was in, and that was like every month for like a few days in the week, like the first few days, that was killing me. And I was like, okay, I have to look into like why do I have these things, and I don't like doctors. I'm not going to ask for their help and stuff, so I'm just gonna look into it myself. Maybe past lives, da 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 da. So like I end up sort of like, okay, what are some of the things that might have happened in a past life that affected these cramps and the pain I have? So what happens is I sort of like scan for these things. Scanning, like, you don't necessarily have to have visuals or like like really have memories of it. You're just sort of like, okay, in a past life, what has affected my pain for, let's say, causing the menstrual cramps, or maybe you have headaches, maybe you have heartaches or something else. And so like when I was focusing in those things, I had incidents where, let's say, I was on a spaceship and the spaceship was attacked by reptilians, and there's just massive slaughterhouse where I'm walking in this like corridor. There's like lots of rooms, and the spaceship gets attacked, and this massive chunk of spaceship just is torn apart, and space out there, all the stuff like wires and stuff like like sort of cut off, and like this like chaos everywhere. People are being killed out by reptilians and stuff. And sort of like I was stuck on a pipe. The pipe sort of pierced my belly, like lower belly, and I was just like hanging there, unable to move. It hurts like hell, and then I have reptilian go and kill me. And sort of like that was like one of those incidents that sort of like, okay, I sort of like sense this is kind of like the beginning of these incidents, and then we have to go even further back. So for you, you don't necessarily have to see it or like really remember it, but you just have to sort of ask yourself like, what happened in my past life that has affected this being specifically whatever. You have a headache, you have myopia, other sort of things. And once you focus on this, the very first thought that comes to you is actually your memory. Like, yeah, you know it deep inside, you can recall it. It's just like, oh, maybe not, maybe I'm just imagining stuff. Next, after that, all of these things is adapting yourself in the program, trying to shut it all off. So you have to learn how to listen to yourself. But if you can sort of like just ask yourself a question, in my past life, where has this kind of pain started? And boom, you're gonna have like, oh yeah, I just got a quick thought of like me being stabbed with a sword, or maybe like you were sort of like in the whole Inquisition thing, like sort of targeted by religious groups and like burned on a stake and stuff, because you were trying to help people and actually using science and other things to like sort of like support others, and like fucking devil user, kill them and stuff. So like these things, if you're able to sort of like get the ideas, like, hey, there you go. You actually might sort of like see your passes and get the ideas. The rest is sort of being able to access that. So, yeah. Okay, so like Alex Malcolm is saying, when I'm facing entities, when I sleep at night, I try to use my powers against them, but nothing at all happens. Do you know why that would be? And any tips on getting around that? Okay, so you're kind of like trying to sleep at night, and entities are messing with you, and you can't actually use anything. All right, let's see. Usual stuff, we try to use our powers, but kind of like nothing works. You can sort of like start like try visuals and stuff. I'm trying to put myself in the perspective. If I was right there, like laying, and my powers didn't work, what would I do? Without trying to create anything visually, without trying to mess with them, Alex, can you talk to these beings? Can you actually talk to these entities? sometimes they mess with us because we have common agreements. For example, you might be interested in sharing the truth, or let's say some science stuff, or maybe medicine and stuff. Like, depends on how exactly are these entities messing with you. Maybe you have this kind of hate towards higher ups and like trying to be a rebel, and all of a sudden these entities also hate their higher ups and like, I'm gonna be a rebel, like fuck you rebel, like whatever they're talking to, they're not gonna listen to their higher ups, they're gonna do things in their own way. And so they're not exactly messing with you the way they were ordered, but they were sort of like being a little rebel against their own little, like beings, and they're just trying to choose a new method of how they want to mess with you. And maybe like their bigger grunts, let's say reptilians or Anunnaki or some other beings, are trying simply to scare you, to limit your power. Well, these beings that are like messing with you, they're like, we're gonna turn off his visuals, we're not gonna allow him to create anything with his creativity, and all of a sudden you try but you can't. So if you find common agreements between you and beings that are messing with you, you have to cancel them. You have to like no longer agree to that stuff. And basically, if you're able to wake entities up, because simply like most of them are asleep, most of them are either under control or command, or simply sort of like stuck with one belief system, and you have to talk to them to sort of like hey, new perspective, whoa, woke up and stuff. So like I would suggest trying to talk to them, trying to see if you and entities have anything in common, and if you do, you have to, let's say, get rid of the agreements that you both have, or kind of like just sort of like take care of their higher ups and other things. That would be my suggestion. Zachary, have you gotten my sessions? I've sent you 2 of them, but from what you're saying, it sounds like you didn't receive my emails, which is suspicious, but wouldn't be the first time. Um, Christian is saying, after a session with me, they blasted the water pipe in the kitchen. Neighbors below had a shower in their toilet for a week. Someone was salty. Yeah, these beings, they hate seeing us getting better. They're gonna do everything they can. Like, if they cannot target you, they will try to target the surroundings or people around you to try to set you up, to trigger you and stuff. And it definitely sort of like triggers them. They're like kids looking for the way to get revenge and actually mess with you because they hate you a lot. Monica Heath, you're saying something has attacked your stomach and a lot of pain, gut, and back, cold, shivering, feeling sick. Once you say that, the first image I sort of got is kind of like your astral aspect, sort of like trapped in this construct where you can't move, you can't do anything, and you're sort of like being squished by this whole thing. Not just like sort of like squished and deforming, but also kind of like this, like let's say astral cords or like energetic cords piercing you. So like it's like constantly for the astral aspect causing pain, and it's like caught up in one of these like places. Like, for example, the way it can happen, like your physical body falls asleep, and these ETs will try to sort of like take your astral body out of there, but basically turn off the memories or anything else, and now they trap you and they are able to mess with you. When that happens, it's kind of like a present time experience, and the astral body is like a double of a physical body. So let's say the heart and everything else matches. It works like a voodoo doll, and if they can affect your astral aspect, then they cause pain to that, and you're feeling that as well. So just from seeing that, I can sort of like look at it and sort of destroy the construct. We'll see if that helps, but this is just like quickie for what I'm seeing right away after like just reading one sentence. And right now, just I'm picturing your astral aspect and just sort of like destroying that cage. We'll see if that helps, but I'm just saying. You can also try to sort of like visualize that other aspect being trapped, and just imagine that sort of like energetic cage being destroyed where you're not squished anymore. Just pull out the cords. It's basically going through, how should I say it, like kind of like your lower spine, kind of like piercing you like that. There's also one throughout your sort of like belly button, like a straight spike like that, and also like from the heart area piercing you like that, sort of like bottom. So you can sort of like imagine pulling those spikes out, sort of like maybe filling your body up with some clay or energetic stuff that would sort of fill you up and have nice shape. That would be something you could sort of imagine. And as I'm talking, I'm sort of doing it myself, but just saying. Okay, Monica Heath is also saying that she has tried affirmations, but is still being at point zero, and her soul is exhausted, and just asking how can she get away from this influence and like being under control and stuff. One thing is like if affirmations don't work and like whatever methods you use seems like to not help at all, one thing I would sort of suggest trying out is there's this group of reptilians. They're kind of like bird beings, sort of like silhouette-ish bird beings, like depending on which dimension, kind of like think of Pokemons evolving, where they can have small shape here, but like depending on whichever like realm they might end up in, they will grow and sort of shapeshift. It's kind of like they get upgrades and stuff. What these reptilians do is like they are able to undo all the work you do on yourself. For example, you revoke your soul contracts, you remove entities, you remove other stuff, you put your time and effort in it, and brilliance is basically, boom, it like jumps you back at a point where you did nothing, kind of like undoing the whole work. So no matter how many affirmations you do and other kind of things, they're just like undoing everything. Time has passed, effort's like put in, but like nothing changes, and you're like, why did that happen? So that would be like, that might be brilliance, the first sort of like things that pops up to me. I'm just sort of like trying to focus on other things you could sort of like try doing. Another thing, it would be great if you could find who is under control, who's causing it, because then you can sort of like take apart the whole control system. So like the whole hierarchy, like whoever is causing it, just sort of like imagine the whole structure falling apart. That would be a thing. Yeah, Seth is also like sort of like regarding the digestion issues, is saying maybe try removing entities that could be attached to the food before you eat it, and that's a big thing. A lot of people, let's say meat, dairy products, animals get attacked by entities. They're sort of like hanging around in their space, not big time, but they're there, and so eventually we consume it, so we end up getting entities in our space as well. It's kind of like this whole vicious cycle, but it's out there. So yeah, you can try doing that as well. I'm also looking like Monica mentioning that when I take a deep breath, my gut under ribcage is in middle, makes me double in pain, and there are 3 people fighting over my soul. That's big. You can try, let's say, putting the label on those people, whether they're conscious beings stuck within you or they're just there. You could try giving them a label. For example, as you mentioned throughout the day, your mood might shift, your personality might change, and your job is to catch who is the fake, who's not really you, and you have to catch those 3 beings. You know there's 3 of them, so your job right now is to give them labels. Is it like a person that has like stomach that hurts, or something else? Like you have to like sort of like angry person, or like a person with stomach ache, and yeah, like they can totally be inside. Like they're basically trapped within you. All right. So your job right now is to give them labels of who they are. Once you have the labels, you can sort of like talk to these beings, or let's say, you know specifically who it is. So now, what you can do is try sort of imagining this realm, or like maybe 3 realms, and just give them a new place, like a new home, because maybe they're like within you, either came here by the force and they're stuck, or they're here like really relating, thinking they're Monica as well. They relate to you. They like what you're doing. They feel at home. They're like, oh, this is a nice place to be at. So you have to create them a world, a realm with the surroundings, environment, life that they would like, and sort of offer that and just like, hey, I create this place for you. I can teleport you there. And like you don't have to be here stuck with other beings. You can have all your dreams come true in that place. So you can sort of like just sort of imagine picking this being up and just putting it in that place. And sort of like a lot of people who have these entity issues is basically we have to work like life coaches on them and just sort of like give them something that would like give them a new life, and that might help. So this is also like one of the first things that sort of comes to mind. Okay, so like I still have a lot of questions at the top, but the recent one just popped up by Mr. Jojo. I mean, like Mojo, Jojo. Sorry, mate. Mr. Mojo is saying someone ran into my wife's car and totaled it last week. How do you know if she was target or just an incident? If this message shows up twice, I was interrupted while tapping. It's okay, mate. Um, yeah, you would actually sort of look throughout her life in the last few months, maybe in the last few years, see if there are various events where, like, your wife's goals, thinking, beingness, like, how is she doing throughout the life? Is she, like, does she have, like, oh, I want to do this, and she's excited about it, she's passionate, she has some dreams, and, like, is working on some projects and stuff, or she's simply working on herself, like, trying to get better. And then you scan, like, the last, like, try to remember last few months. How did her life like change? Are there any people coming in her space like pissing her off? Are there like any incidents or like where she's working on herself, has some clear goal or something she wants to do, and there's a constant block or something not working? Tech going crazy, that would be like a few signs as well. But a lot of times these beings will try to affect people around us, simply take over their mind and consciousness, and for a moment like people can act like possessed, so that's totally a thing. And I don't like basically you have to look through the last few months, see if there's anything that stands out as like people targeting your wife or she like, experiencing a lot of blocks or something like that. And then you would know if she's targeted. Like, and doesn't necessarily mean that targeted by the government. It's basically some entities is trying to stop her from getting into the new emotional tone level, feeling better in life, going for new goals and stuff like that. So there's a lot, but I'm just saying. TH, Akvile, I love your channel and your work. Appreciate it. I'm really glad I can be here with all of you and answer questions and just talk to you all. And that you are so interested in this. Okay, I'm just going through settings a little bit. Okay, Raya is asking, since we are infinite intelligence, can I reincarnate Snarkon to understand what they are coming from or to understand their perspective? Totally, and as you do that, you basically experience the whole thing with what it's like being a reptilian, an archon, a mantis, a grey, and other beings. You can have various bodies. Like basically, what you can do is like sort of like split yourself in lots of different aspects and simultaneously experience different races to sort of like get the idea of their mindset, their culture, their goals, and different things. You can totally do that, and at the same time, by talking to other beings, let's say archons or whatever, you can sort of like I have this kind of like a program for myself. If I touch anything with my left hand while I'm in Ubi, it's kind of like a total recall. For example, another being, I can give him a handshake with my right hand, but I can sort of put my left hand on the shoulder, like, hey, mate. And basically, while I'm putting my hand on their shoulder or simply touching them, I get the recall of their life and whatever they experience. So, like, I have their information. I'm like, oh, sort of like I get the idea of what they've been through. So, there's that. A Payasu is asking, do I have top 5 personal favorite games? Mass Effect Trilogy, number 1. Top 1 is Mass Effect Trilogy. Let's see. Deus Ex, probably number 3. Red Dead Redemption, number 2. What other games have I enjoyed playing? I'm trying to think of something with really good story. With something I really enjoyed. I have top 3. Top 5 is harder. Horizon Zero Dawn, maybe? It has a good story, so maybe like at the top 5. But then we need number 4. Number 4 still has an empty space for now. I could sort of like turn on my Steam, see if there are any games that pop up, but these are just sort of a few that like send out. Like Mass Effect is number 1. Other than that, you know. Any English or good English dubbed anime recommendations? I sort of like always try to watch with the original, but at the same time, I tried showing anime to Rich 150X, so he doesn't like Japanese, and I am sort of like forced or inclined to watch it in English, like dub. So with that, I would say Haikyuu, something like volleyball. Haikyuu has a better voice, like dub. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood has like the main character sounds better in English than Japanese. Soul Eater sounds better in English than Japanese. JoJo, watch it in Japanese. Yeah, that would be the thing. Fire Force, you can try that as well. Yeah, Dota has a lot of like playtime on Steam, but it's more like something to do to kill time. It's kind of like competitive. Like some people like CS:GO, but it's not a game where I would like Dota. It's like Dota is cancer. Don't play it. I only sort of like do it right now with my buddy Darius here in the chat, and when we have this battle pass at summertime. But other than that, it's like cancer, ugly game. There's an anime called From the New World that I discovered recently. It's a good watch considering the year we're in. From New World. It's probably Higurashi. I haven't seen it. Oh, Shinsekai Yori. Alright. So I'm gonna save it. I haven't watched it. Mr. Modi saying, like Red Dead Redemption number 2 is awesome. I think I had a newbie in like Red Dead Redemption 2 as well. Me too. I played Red Dead and I just found myself near this sort of like falling apart shack, like hunted by the bounty hunters, and I had this like like those like rifles, like kind of like a Springfield and stuff. The gun, the whole impact of shooting people is like, uh-oh. And riding on a horse, I never done in real life, but to do that in Ubi is so fun. Okay, now that you mentioned Metal Gear 3, I would say Death Stranding takes number 4. I have not finished the game, but Death Stranding is totally, like, really worth it, and we might do a replay. My save got deleted, so I would have to redo the whole thing, but that's okay. It does have a good story regarding out-of-body experiences and stuff. Like, it's definitely worth trying. Okay, Monica's saying that she's trying to start sleeping during the day and be up all night. Uh, be sure that is good for you. Like, taking care of yourself is a big thing, and just like trying to find how these entities are messing with you and sort of like how they try to trigger you, what they're doing specifically. And if you're able to do that, that would be great. But it's definitely a bad thing you're going through. Last of Us 1, best story game ever. I played it. It's good. Last of Us is good. I would not put it in my top 5. Different mindsets or values and stuff, but it's definitely good. Okay, have you met the blonde humanoid aliens? Question by Seth. And people call them Nordics. Are they good or bad? So when we're talking about good or bad beings, we always have to keep in mind that there will be specific groups of good and bad, because not all humans are good, nor all of them are bad. It's kind of like specific groups of people will have different traits and stuff. Nordics, usually I meet them a lot. There's like a lot of these like Nordic alliances. They're like a lot of these Nordic alliances are good guys. They're fighting and basically trying to stop the whole time war thing. They're like really the whole time like timeline stuff. For example, in this timeline, someone will affect the event where your civilization will be ruined and you're gonna lose all the stuff, and then basically these guys like Nordic Alliance comes in and stops the whole attack from happening. So from my experience, I have a lot of people as in my client list who have connections with Nordic Alliance or with Nordics, who basically were one of them or simply in a group or like friends and stuff. And there's a lot of good beings like other Nordics. I haven't actually met some of them that would be bad. So like kind of like a lot of them are good, but then again, like like some of them might change their mind. Like, hey, I want to work with reptilians. I want to actually make some deals and fuck up others. Like, you never know when that can happen. So most of them are good from my perspective and experience. So there's that. Okay, Monica's also saying, what if I feel uncomfortable with someone? Like someone is rubbing me wrong. Is it the person in the physical or like a being close to you, kind of like as an energy form or like in the actual like parallel like realms that you don't really see but feel? A few different ways. Some of them, people around us can actually work like handlers, can actually be used against us and stuff. It's obvious, and I think like you know it all. Incubus, succubus thing, possibility, but really depends on your thing. Like you mentioned, like there's like 3 beings inside, so I would like assume that you were talking about that, but maybe you have something else in mind. So like if you can clarify that, would be great. Okay, Christopher is asking, do you think teleportation will be doable in the future in the physical state? I would say yes, it is totally doable right now, except, let's say our governments and the place we live in right now, they're covering up a lot of information. We have spacecrafts, we have awesome technologies. Since 1974, they were able to translate thoughts in our head, put thoughts, feeling states, affect our body, cause like orgasms and other things. They can control us from 1974, our governments and stuff. So to be able to teleport, like I think like 2011 or something, they were able to teleport information officially. Like we can teleport, like now we have particles, we send information and that happened, blah blah blah. Yay, officially. But I would say there's a lot of stuff disclosure going on. A lot of people from the past have created like water engines and stuff and were died from an accident, a heart attack right out of the blue from a person that's super healthy, never had a single issue. COVID! Fucking COVID killed him, man, right? Bullshit. So these people are sort of being slaughtered, and you know, like Nikola Tesla's all like recourse and like everything he did is taken by FBI and like other groups. You know, they have all the stuff. So from my perspective, our governments have the teleportation thing going. It's just like, why tell it to humanity? There's still suckers that are like thinking that the fuel and gas is the only way to go. You know, so it's too easy for them to sort of control the way of how things are going officially. They have lots of tech. They're communicating with other ETs and stuff, whole secret space program stuff, being able to de-age people. There's a whole lot of that, a lot of stuff that they have, and so the teleportation is going on, like it's an ongoing thing right now. Except like officially they're not saying it. To see if in future will it happen and stuff. You know, if we're lucky, if we're like, yeah, we believe in aliens and shit, so we're ready for that info, maybe. Okay, John West is saying that he actually got the George L. Preslin thing. That's good. I think on Skype long time ago, or some time ago, I did send you like the ebook. I'm not sure if you can find it, John, but that might be useful as well. Okay, Flowers in the Wind is asking which races rule over and own the planet. Are they malevolent or benevolent beings? Most of them are malevolent. They're actually not really good. Anunnaki, sort of like a hybrid of like human and reptilian, sort of like Marduk, and how we know him as Satan and stuff. He's one of the bigger dogs that own this place. Reptilians, they're more like into this mind control stuff, so there's that as well. There's a lot of beings like interested in this place, and even then, like our higher up, so to speak, are just selling us out. It's basically like if you heard about like these intergalactic trading with the whole plasma, blood, gold, materials, and other things. Like people, we're just like labor. There's a lot of beings who actually got out of body and seen realms where humanity with a spaceship, like let's say in the Vietnam War, like they like a lot of like dead bodies and stuff were put in these like kind of like rocket places, like, or like, you know, kind of like coffins, but like it's the kind of the different boxes and stuff. But just like a lot of this shipping, and you actually like can find a lot of these like in America, they have these square boxes, like billions of them. For what? And like actually, like a lot of people are being shipped off. So our governments are selling us out because more like, hey, we're gonna sell you humans, use them as labor to like fuck them up, whatever you want to do, they're all yours, and all of these like disappearing of children and stuff, like a lot of this is connected to selling us out, so there's that going on. Okay, Sage is asking, do you believe in coincidences, or do you think everything happens for a reason as we've been told most of our lives? It's kind of like, it depends how you look at it. Because more like your suffering is happening for a reason. I'm not buying that. I mean, the reason is we're being targeted most of the time. As in, like, just because you suffer doesn't mean like it's good for you. Like bullshit. So there's a lot of these beings where, you know, our targeting, our suffering, and a lot of these things is basically like these stops. So there's a reason for that by the other side to target us. There's that like thing, but coincidence like, oh, I just accidentally got triggered, like, oh, like accidentally lights went off, like, oh, accidentally my car's not working when I need to use it. These moments are not just happening out of the blue. So there's a reason, but it's not like we're supposed to suffer or go through all that. It's just more like there are other things causing it. Okay, Zach, yeah, last email you got from me was 2 days ago about the music. That's not good. So a few of my emails didn't go through. I'll try to send it off to you today after the stream, maybe. Like so, like we send it. But yeah, like I did your session, so like it's funny that they did not come through. Okay, Jam Jones is saying, most of your so-called family, friends, are hate-filled with entities looking to bring you down. The majority of humans are Archon infected. Puppets, totally. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of beings around us who are being used by other side, and it's too easy to target us. It's like we're so vulnerable, like going for stories like, oh, we're kind humans, we're gonna help out, or blah blah blah, and end up here, end up trapped. Okay, there's also a question from Riley Rage. Can you discuss holding space versus shielding space, open versus closed? Um, a lot of these terms that I'm like, huh? So, another shielding space, like creating shields and stuff, like from personal use, open and closed. Huh. What do you mean specifically by holding space? Like holding space for who, what, and why? Like clarify that, and then I can answer or like talk about it. Seth is asking, do I see any entities attached to you? Could you send me a photo? Like, if you see my email, akvilesav@yahoo.com, send me an email. I can look at your photo and tell you right away. Okay, any thoughts on deja vu? Is it the change in timelines or entities? Question by Sage. Um, Personally, it's more like we have a whole lot of aspects of us. Let's say millions, billions, like a whole lot of like massive numbers, right? Um, these aspects of us, let's say, while one aspect of you is here on Earth, there are other aspects, let's say, parallel realms, and like living this life simultaneously, where right now I'm drinking tea. There's going to be another aspect of me drinking coffee, another aspect of me drinking water, another aspect of me drinking barley bros, another aspect of me drinking something else. So it's basically whatever we're doing right now. There's tons of aspects of us sort of like doing it all, and some of them might live it faster. And like we're like, whoa, like I just it felt like I just did that, because your other aspect is basically living right now on Earth, like as a parallel reality, like Fermi's paradox, kind of like all the possibilities that you can have is right here, right now. So one of you could have actually like, I'm gonna go to college, I'm gonna go to university, I'm gonna study arts, physics, like science, or like health things and stuff like that. So basically all of these choices you can make in life, there are other aspects of you in the parallel like way where they're gonna experience out for you. And so you have this like massive ways of experiencing things, and next thing you know, you just like sort of like you're walking and like, hey, feels like I've seen that movie, feels like I actually had a conversation, feels like this and this and this and happened. So it's more like all of these aspects of us are experiencing things so fast and so much that it's just like, whoa, feels like I actually experienced this. And that would be my take on it. Like a lot of these parts of us are living here, and some of that's like basically goes faster. So you can sort of like find correlations with that, where like like it's kind of like two aspects of you are walking, and you're on this like as an overlay. This is your like where you're right now, and this is your like other aspect, and you end up walking on the same road, like just like sort of like stepping on the same thing, and like you sort of like, get the memory recall, like oops, just connected that part, and so now you get sort of this like felt like I just did that. So there's that. Okay, yeah, Riley Rage clarified, holding space for other people or allowing them into your emotional field, I guess, versus closing and becoming cold, distant. I feel like I'm either fully open or fully closed. And also, are mantis beings connected to greys, or are they mantis grey hybrids? I saw an outline of mantis when I was almost able to astral project. Okay, so like talking about like holding space for other people, like connecting or disconnecting, it's totally a thing. And we have to understand that our connection is not just like, hey, like, hi, how are you doing? It's not just like having conversation, but simply it's more in depth, where a simple look, your eyes meet, you see them walking on the street and stuff, and you are already like forming connection on a energy way, spiritual way and stuff. And so there's a lot of ways we can connect with people just by looking, just by being in the same energy field. And your thoughts on allowing them in or not, it's like mainly your choice. I probably am distancing myself. I'm closing my space, and basically, if I go out, I'm trying to be really close. It's weird because like a lot of people, they have their own entity clusters, and like it's you go out in the crowd and they're all full of dirty stuff. And like, like I'm not an exception. I have a few of them following myself, like, hey buddies. So if I would open the space, their stuff can jump on me, and so I don't want that happening. Or I'm sort of like really trying to keep my like private stuff, like don't want to connect. I'm just like, I don't know, like I'm not into that right now. So, or maybe I'm sort of like vulnerable and afraid to be hurt and stuff. There's that. But I'm basically trying to, yeah, to sort of like close that space from others. I can like be kind and talk to others and smile on their stuff, but that's kind of like a surface level where like, hey, it's cool, but don't come close. I'm very personal with who's in my space and what I allow their stuff. So like I'm very picky. But for others, like, it really depends. Not everyone is bad. Just because you're in their space doesn't mean that all of the entities or their bad stuff will jump from you. So really, your decision, however you feel, if it's empowering to you, do it. If it's kind of like, oh, it like sucks off my energy and stuff, close it off. Or simply try to cut off the cores and other things with people. But it's a thing. There's a lot of these, like, connecting and how they affect you. John Roberts is saying, I feel like I might have developed my myopia as a response to seeing bad entities when I was young. Now I have my myopia and don't really see entities. I want to reverse that. I know you. I feel like, John, like same experience. It's like walking around and seeing all that stuff is like, I don't want to look at that stuff. It's just like too much. So like when I was like young, I was like trying to block it all out. It's more like you have abilities, but sort of like no way to control them, and oops, sort of like I was careless and turned it off, and now I can see entities but I still have myopia. Sort of fuck myself over. But then there's stuff like from past lives where there are these incidents where, like, let's say gas or being shot in the eyes or some other stuff happens and you experience some traumas from past life, and over here in this life you might have like you're cutting wood, right? Or like you're working in the field, John, and something gets in your eye, like, so like that little thing will trigger your past life memory where something gets in your eye and you lose your sight, like you can't see anymore, you go blind. And so like that little incident is basically triggered from past life and turns on the button like, okay, that stuff is now working, or like it's now in place. So being able to sort of like recall the original times when you were sort of like experiencing the sort of like losing your sight, that would be a thing. Okay, so I don't know, like I'm not sure if I'm talking fast enough to you people or not. I'm sipping my tea and letting my throat rest a little bit. It's still weird that I get to talk for so long. Okay, John West, question number 2. On YouTube community page, you posted something you drawed. What program did you use and how long did it take you to draw? Looks neat. So I used Blender. Rich was playing with it for like a few days now, and I was like, I might try it out as myself, because I see a lot of these beings out there, like it's an everyday thing for me, so why not try to make them out there? And so I guess in like from whatever I experienced new, we just put it as a like 3D figurine, and just today, like after a few sessions, like I'm done with work and I was like, I might as well try to draw the figure. 5 minutes. I was like fucking around so it doesn't look like anything really. It's more like this kind of like a sketch, just sort of like vague image of what it looks like. I might pull it up for people that might have not seen it yet. Let's see if I can sort of find it for you. Okay. I'm trying to find the photo. Okay, there it is. Yeah, so wait. Yeah, okay. So this is the being I sort of made with Blender. It's just a quickie 5-minute thing. Nothing fancy. I don't know, like, I just see so many ways I can get better, but it's just like one of those races where, like, these beings are kind of like a pinkish color. They have these blue stripes all over them, kind of like a tribal art. Like, it basically starts from their chest. And I was like, okay, like, kind of like, They have these like uh, eyes, kind of like similar to humans, like a bit of white, like what they have, like iris and like various eye color. But like instead of hair, it's more like a I don't know, a bit of a bonish, skinny thing where like it's more like just like a part of their body, like the way kind of like hair, but it's more like a I don't know, like tentacle thing or whatever, just like a part of their body, like a new hair and stuff. So there's that. It's being sort of kind of like reserved, like they're very personal about who's in their space and what they're doing and all this stuff. Uh, so yeah, like I just a quickie to sort of like get the image and stuff, but nothing much. Riley's asking, do you use mouse and keyboard or have a drawing pad? Mouse and keyboard, like I might try like opening up right now and just like a quickie. I just started using it today. Like this was my first time. Like, how the hell does that work? And let's see what happens. And there it was, nothing fancy. I don't know. Let's see if I can capture it. There we have Blender. Okay, so now you're gonna see Blender. I'm gonna sort of turn off the camera maybe, or move myself somewhere else where it's not a thing. So, okay, so now I'm gonna move this to the side. So let's say sculpting, right? I found out like, okay, we have this meatball and we can do something with it, right? So there's a way we can affect our brush. I'm just sort of like basic settings. I know how to move the ball and how to make curves. So for example, like, okay, here's a being and they could use a little nose. And the next part, we could actually, wait, is it possible? Yeah, there we go. So from this angle, we can shift into see how they're looking and stuff. And there we're affecting their brushes and stuff. Like, I'm beginner. Just don't think I know anything. I'm just like, started using it today, a 5-minute thing. And then we're gonna create a little nose here. Right, and so like, whatever. There, a happy little face, right? So nothing too fancy. I'm just sort of like fucking around and that's the thing. So just turn it on and like, okay, sort of have an image of what the being looked like. I'm just gonna put it out there and see what happens. Hi Crystal Dragon, good to see you here, buddy. So there's that stuff. Okay, let's look into more questions or wherever I stopped. Okay, yeah, John, question regarding Blender and stuff. What else? Okay, what's the Realm Collective gonna look like? Ali's asking, and also, are there some of the entities that you can spread, or like, that you spread gonna be there? No. So for example, entities are here right now, like just in the physical world. I'm gonna move my picture out of the way. There we go. Because you people like seeing me. Stuff. But anyway, yeah. So like, on Discord we had an idea, or I saw a comment and I sort of like did it in my past, but we could all practice creating this collective realm. For example, for people who want a safe place when they get out of a body, for people who want a safe place, for example, after physical body drops dead, where are you gonna go? And there's this idea that collectively, a lot of people right here, right now, create a realm. A realm is like a flat earth kind of thing, where it's infinite. It's just like a plain field where on your eye level, you can see for far, and it's just like a never-ending thing where every being can create and add up to the realm and create like miles and miles and miles, and just gonna extend and be like an infinite thing. So whoever wants can join and like make a part of it. And if we have a collective, like let's say a group of 10, 20, 100,000 people, doesn't matter how many, we could form like how the realm is gonna look like, physics in there, what kind of beings can live there, and basically the idea is to make it a safe place to go to, as in no entities are allowed there, no beings are supposed to go there and stuff like that. And we can create like a safe haven, kind of like, like where no one can mess with people, and that's your like place for learning information, and sort of like moving and like moving over and stuff like that. Like lots of ways to put it. I'm just sort of like the idea where people collectively, while they're here, can create the realm and go there on, like, let's say physical body falls asleep, and as a natural body you can go there. So lots of ways to do it, and just like an idea as a collective, like group of people can actually do this sort of thing. So just dropping it out there. There's more details on Discord, or let's say just like sort of like a little push or like intro to that as well. I don't know. Okay. Never Surrender is asking, when I was around 10 years old, a small blue orb floating in front of me suddenly entered my eye and everything went blue. Astral traveling ever since. What was that? Thanks. A lot of times, these orbs we're seeing, they might be blue, pinkish, whatever, like a lot of these colors. If you're able to focus on the orb and just look at it long enough and try to sort of zoom in, you can actually see a being, a face in there, and actually know who it is. So there's actually a lot of people, whether we call it our spirit guides, people from our past lives, some buddies we have, other races, they're here to help us out if they can. If they're not blocked and stuff, they're going to do everything they can to help us. And one of those beings might have like, hey, this guy needs to get out of body, or like, let's say, do astral travel. And so just sort of like getting within and giving you the ability, or sort of like unhooking you and stuff, and now you're free. So lots of ways to put it. This is sort of like the first idea I get, so that might be a thing. If you reincarnate as an Archon, then how do you get out of the system? So simply, let's say with the physical body here on Earth, we are limited by all the rules and systems, physics, agreements, and different things like that. As a consciousness, you can incarnate in any kind of body, being a reptilian, being Archon, being arachnid, being a little cat and stuff, whatever. But the thing is, you don't have limits anymore. You're free, because like now you're not affected by Earth and your agreements here. So once you're free, you can get into the body of an Archon, live as that, and you're like, okay, I'm done. You change your mind after 5 minutes because you're like, that feels weird, I'm out of here. Boom, you're out. You don't have to stay here or live until you're deaf or anything, and simply your decision, and basically like getting out of the body, you should simply imagine leaving the body, and the body can disappear, drop dead, or simply become like an NPC until someone else comes in. So there's that stuff. Okay, TH is asking, can you tell us more about what the aliens do to us when you out-of-body experience? There's a lot of variations. The thing is, these aliens out there, they're respectful. If they are aware of your abilities and that you are aware that you are aware. For example, if you know that like, hey, if I imagine something and create something and put it out there, it's gonna manifest, and no one can stop me. And now you get like a little cocky or whatever, but basically you're confident. You're confident that you're like, hey, it's safe. I can create anything. If anything pops up right in front of me and tries to scare me, I can sort of like just destroy them, unlock them, things like that. So now that you are aware of your abilities and what you can do, whenever you meet other races, whether it is reptilian, whether it is an arachnid or like other beings, arachnids, they're more like on automatic, but they're very much into protecting their areas. They're not into conquering and taking over. Well, yeah, some of them are. Just seeing that stuff is like, no. Some of them are into taking over planets, sadly, but not all of them, and they're more like into protecting their own things. So if you're coming in and it's in like taking over, they will attack. But if you're just like somewhere else, other ETs you meet out there, they're respectful because they know like, oh, like if I step out of my line, if I try to mess with you, you might get rid of me, destroy the whole fleet. I'm gonna try to play nice and try not to get like destroyed and stuff. So a lot of these beings to me are respectful. There are times when some of them might try to attack me. Some of them might try to, like target me, like put me in like these cages and stuff like that. But it's kind of like a mere stuff. I can't say like not. It's kind of like not bragging or like like, hey, I'm so super and cool, and like, no, everyone can do that. It's more like just like being able to be aware of your abilities and like sort of like be in control of it. Some people, because you're trying to get out of body, like they might target you because they want to scare you, because they want to make sure like hey, I'm the boss, like so that you would know your place and all. So these people might try to scare you, try to push you back in the body, capture you, like create a clone of you, and different things. So it really depends on your own strength, like how you see yourself, and then who you meet out there. Like lots of different groups. For example, like I met like I did a session a few days ago. I met a group of reptilians, and they were sort of like trying to keep people inside the body. Like like Rich and I, we made a video about it like recently. But then when I talked about like I talked to them, and these guys are like, okay, people, tell me what you're doing to people and how are you keeping us trapped in the physical body. And they're naming every single method they're using. They're giving me all the details and sort of like giving it all out because they don't want to be like trapped. They don't want to be destroyed and stuff. They're like, okay, don't touch us. We're gonna tell you absolutely everything. Just please like keep us alive and stuff. So they're like, whoa, sort of backing off. So there's a lot of those things. And we have Kimberly here. Wow, thank you so much for being here and like donating. That's a whole lot. Okay, what would thousands and thousands of hours of orbs coming through your house and garage mean? Whoa, I would like really try to look into, like, see if I can see inside the orb, if I could see the being within the orb, or at least how do I feel experiencing the sort of side? Or am I actually feeling disturbed? Like, whoa, this energy is kind of like draining, and I feel sort of like exhausted and weird, like I just feel out of my comfort zone, or am I actually like, wow, sort of like this calm side of like how you're seeing things. And depending on how you feel, these beings usually don't have a way to hurt you or mess with you. They can simply come and try to communicate and try to show up. There's a lot of people from our past lives, and like specifically there's a race of Tohans, Tohan, Tohan. They remind me of these orbs because they're pretty much like, again, like in their own civilization, they're like orb, wispy thing. They have like the different colors, and with them, when they gather as clusters, super positive, that's really good. When they gather as clusters, is basically amplifying each other. So if you see one, it's kind of like, yay, an orb, and you feel better. But when you have thousands of them for hours, it's like they massively gather up as a cluster, empowering each other, working like kind of like as a hive. But all of these emotions, like they feel better. They like have love and kindness and support. And when you're in their presence, it's like just like massively like, whoa, it's like like this whole energy just like overwhelms you. So it's actually like a really good thing because there are beings out there like Tohans. There's like another person from this community, David. He saw these like bad beings, and like they're super loving. They might look like bats, but when they gather close, they're all about love and kindness. And they're like, whenever they come as a cluster, you just like feel overwhelmed with love. It's so pure that it's like it's never nothing that you can experience here on Earth. It's like you see such a pure thing that like makes you cry because like it's like overwhelmingly good. So if you're feeling that, I'm just seeing like like you're actually getting a lot of like beings trying to contact you to help you, to empower you, and it's a good thing. Like it's a really good thing happening. Yeah, people, if you don't know, Kimberly is an awesome person. If you want any kind of work done, I think Kimberly's also doing this kind of similar work to me. So feel free to sort of like, I don't know, look her up, Kimberly McGeorge, see if you can actually find anything interesting. She's also an amazing person. I have like, I don't like, I feel honored that someone like you, Kimberly, would actually contact and feel like, hey, you might have something for me. So I don't know, it's amazing. Okay, scrolling back up where I left off with the questions, we had, let's see. Alfonso, good to see you here. Carson007. Okay, Carson is saying, I've noticed that time is running away from me, which with each passing year. People have also been talking of the days getting shorter. Is there a reason that time has been speeding up recently? The thing is, I have not really looked into this thing myself in out of body or like really like, hey, why is this happening? But I have noticed this phenomenon. Like it seems like the day just goes by and like some people like, oh, it's like, like because of the older age and different things like that, like, like faster people process information and they experience more, while the older people like blah 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 blah, whatever that stuff. But it's not that, because like I'm pretty sure like a whole lot of people right now like us, doesn't matter how old you are, you're gonna feel the speeding up. And It's big. I think like also there's a thing of our vibration. Depending on how aware we are of realities, for some people, this place is super slow. You're talking to someone, and let's say, whether I'm the fast talker or stuff like that, like a lot of beings right now can process information super fast, and we're getting in this place of like vibration and mind where we're going like the whole ascension, getting in the 5D and stuff like that. It's not an event, but it's like a process, and like you're sort of like experiencing part of it where everything's sort of speeding up. You're like sort of like catching up more information, with more experiences throughout the day, or maybe it feels like you haven't done a lot because it's like really goes fast, but like it's part of it. So that would be my take on it, but I have not done much of the research to tell you something that like, hey, I know this for sure. It's more like you're like, this is what it feels like right now. So there's that. Donnie Red saying hi from Colorado. I love your channel. Thank you so much for all that you do. Well, it's my pleasure having you people here. It's awesome. Okay, TH is recommending the anime called Mob Psycho, saying it's really good. It's kind of like same creator of the One Punch Man. I watched like 6 episodes because I was sort of like working on the editing. It's pretty good, like about the guy with psychic powers. Something to watch for real. Monster Rancher anime, Riley Rage. Okay, Apas is saying that he's gonna check out Death Stranding, and also, do I need to play Mass Effect from the beginning to enjoy the story? Yeah, with the Mass Effect trilogy, from number 1 to 3, it would be really good if you play it from the very beginning, because it has a lot of story and build-up. The third one, a lot of people are sort of like disappointed by the ending of the game, but it finishes the idea, and they're talking about AI taking over the world. It has a lot of like a lot of truths from what's going on right now, with other ETs trying to take over this place, with other beings out there, and so many possibilities. Like, if you're wondering what it's like out there to meet other beings out there, to be on a spaceship, Mass Effect is one of the best ways to see. Lots of stuff to look into, but Mass Effect definitely. If you're playing trilogy, play from number 1. If you're playing Andromeda, it doesn't matter. It's basically just had a little bit of the story, let's say audio files of what happened throughout the trilogy, but it's not really that much connected. For me, anyway. Alexander saying Fallout 4 is a nice game. I've played it just a little bit, but I like the third one. A question here: have you played Beyond Two Souls? It's about a young girl who can astral project and is used by the CA. No, I haven't, but it's something I want to try out. Sounds like a good one. That's the thing, like some of the video games really have a good self-disclosure. So putting it out there and actually getting a different audience. Some people just play like, oh, it's a shooter, it's an actually good game, good story, and that's where it ends. But they don't really see the deeper message. So yeah, like being able to actually play it and maybe share your point of view and like, hey, it's not just that, like look at this thing, and they're like, whoa, it's real and stuff. So for me, it's exciting to play video games because I know that if I catch someone from that community, there's a chance I can bring them to like, hey, look, wake up. So there's that. Okay, I Am Yahweh is asking, what is the religion of these Satanists based on, and do they get trapped in a reincarnation cycle like us, or does their god Satan give them a pass? The thing is, the whole reincarnation thing, it's more of a belief system. They're trying to make us believe like like the hell, and like if you sin, this is gonna happen, and it's constant programming from most people that whatever you do, it's gonna like, you know, like you do this and you're gonna like die and like end up in hell, or like different things can happen. But it's a lot of programming of ending up suffering and something's bad gonna happen. These beings that are, let's say, psychopaths, sociopaths, narcissists, those who are into pedophilia, those who are mass murderers, they don't really have the conscience. Listen, like, you know, they can kill people like, what? I just shot that person, like, what do you want? They don't even think about hell, they don't even think about reincarnating or something bad happening to them. People in the government, like, let's say Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and other people, when they die, if they do not believe in it, they won't reincarnate. Nothing's bad is gonna happen to them. And bye, Riley, good seeing you here. But anyway, coming back to the subject, these beings that are committing all these crimes and like messing people up, just because they do not believe that something's bad is gonna happen to them, they're not gonna reincarnate, or nothing's bad is gonna happen to them unless there's gonna be someone, like, let's say, good soldiers like us, like, they're like, time's up, mate, you're out of here and we're gonna mess you up. But other than that, you know, they are forming our belief system that we're gonna have to reincarnate or something's bad is gonna happen. They don't have it themselves. They're more like, what? I'm just like playing around, just trying to get as many benefits as I can. What's up? And, you know, they're not gonna reincarnate, they're not gonna suffer, they're not gonna go to hell. It's not because of Satan or some other beings out there protecting them. No, it's more of a belief system thing. And if you yourself can more like, I can do whatever and I'm not gonna have the consequences of that. Kind of like a sin. People might want to get revenge on you for whatever you do. People might want to get it back, or you might, like, after a long time, like, oh, well, I was a killer for too long, maybe I should flip it. And then you sort of do it for yourself. But it's not like, you know, like, there's a Satan or massive being like, I'm gonna help you out because they're so good to you and stuff. Like, no, it's like, even for those ETs, we're simple pawns. And all these, like, people in the elite and stuff, like, with all the Satanism and stuff, it's more like they're pawns for their goals, but it's not like they have protection and they're like all the, you know, untouched people. No. It's just that they have a helping hand right now, right here on Earth. It's still like, you know, like, oh, they're serving us, so we better use them while we can, but nothing more than that. They're simply pawns. So, you know, to finish the point, I think, like, whenever you incarnate, let's say, right now you're living as a human being, but you can also be a reptilian, an archon, a mantis, Arcturian, Pleiadian, Lyran, whatever race you want. And with all of your experiences, it is up to you. You decide what kind of story you're playing. And while you can play, I'm a good being trying to help someone out, you can also choose, I want to see what it's like to kill someone. And you kill others and you're like a bad being because you try to experience what it's like to be different. And after that, like, okay, so that's what it feels like. Alright, bye now. And that's it. And so, like, that's where it finishes off, but it's not like, oh shit, I'm gonna catch karma because of that and stuff. Like, no. It's more like, the cause and effect is if there will be someone who you hurt that hates you and want to target you, they might come after you. There are some races that we have fought, like, or let's say specific groups, like, might be your best buddy that, like, really loves competition, and you won the last game, and now they're trying to target you right here because they have, like, winning hand, but, you know, you get out there like, hey buddy, how'd it go? Like, did you like my, like, sort of stuff? You're like, no, what did you do? And, you know, like, different conversations, but it's more like your personal choice. And while some people here choose to be bad and be Satanists, we have lifetimes ourselves where we were mass murderers, where we were doing all kinds of other stuff. So it's not about good or bad, it's about your personal choice. Like, this whole duality thing is more of a system to control us by beliefs and sort of like limiting us, but it's not a stop. So, there's that. Seth is saying, I heard negative Nordics influenced the World War II thing with Hitler. Might have, but there's like plenty of other beings as well. I wouldn't doubt it. There's actually a lot of people out there who would love to influence us. So, yep. I'm reading Alexander's comment regarding Nikola Tesla and the Philadelphia experiment. It's totally a thing. Okay, Sally Van is saying that she enjoyed my talks, and after years of hard work and repetitive like parents, my body suffers from the neglect, especially my stomach. Anything I can do to find my flow, body, and life? You rock. Thank you, Sally. If you're still watching, please write me an email. Write me your story, like what happened. It would be good if you take your time and just like let me know the details of the whole neglect throughout your life and how your body has been impacted by it. It's a big deal, and like right now, like as I'm focusing, there's a lot of these issues we have. Let's say an inability to get out of body, headaches, stomach aches. There's a lot of people that experience things in a similar way. A lot of people have various aches or issues in life, and it's kind of like there will be a lot of like patterns that we can connect to, and like maybe so like oh that sounds similar to me, and like just by listening you can relate to things and sort of like get the wake up call or sort of get different understanding of like relating to someone, and that might help you to clear things out. So that being said, there's a lot of things that can happen to stomach, and basically, you know, like with the whole thing of being neglected, you also neglect the food or different things, and you know your stomach like sort of neglects everything as well, a lot. So like the best thing, in my opinion, would be to go within your belief systems. Like basically try to find all the issues you have, and go to like, you know, like when your neglect started, like who made a massive impact, who neglected you, how did you feel, how do you feel right now, like nowadays and stuff. So like basically just find the specific issues. Like being neglected is a massive area, so you need to get like, you know, like neglected by dad, neglected by mom, neglected by siblings, neglected by society and specific people in society and stuff like that, or you know like neglect from specific groups. That's an example, but you'll know better. So once you're able to be very specific, then you can ask yourself like questions and sort of like dig out some of the core things and sort of pull it out. Like that would be like one thing, just to get it out there and sort of like be able to digest it, maybe get a new point of view, maybe sort of like some realizations and stuff. And at the same time, you might find the core thing or just like sort of like memory from the past that is like, hey, that's why it's happening. So just sort of like I'm just touching the surface, but it's a deep issue that a lot of people the deep issue that a lot of people have. Oh, okay, so Didi is saying, why do I keep getting stopped from leaving the city? If I'm stopped from working this guest spot on the East Coast, it'll be the fourth time I've been stopped. They broke my car, set the shop on fire, etc. And now they're causing a financial crisis for over $3,000. And why won't they let me leave this place? There's a lot of things like that. For some people have similar things with relationships, like no matter how much they try to get together, nothing's going on. No matter how much they try to get a job, nothing's happening and stuff. But it's a big deal, and the thing is it's kind of like this biggest mountain or biggest wall you have before a new life. It's kind of like if you leave that place, you might actually break away from your like, now it feels like a better energy. Now I can actually meet new people, like have new opportunities. And the dark side kind of like knows like if you go there, you're gonna be free. They will not have as much control on you, so they will do everything they can to suppress you, to target you, and all of these actions, you know, like just like stop after stop after stop, no matter like what. It's kind of like, hey, isn't that suspicious that I can't leave? Of course it is. And so like now that you're catching on, or like, you know, you've sort of been like aware of this for like a while, it would be like really good to, let's say, look at your agreements, maybe unable to leave this place and why, and like maybe stuck here. But like right now what you're experiencing, where like life sucks and I'm being targeted and I can't leave this place, you're seeing this like, you know, like no matter what you do, you're stuck here. And if you're able to sort of like remove that belief or change it up a little bit, it's not like, yeah, I can move out because I'm thinking like that. Like, no, just like being positive little thing like ain't gonna help that much. It would be really good, but they can still target you. So if you can sort of like remove the agreement, it's more like agreement that you're stuck here. And now even though you're experiencing it, you no longer agree that you're stuck, and now you can sort of move. So maybe look at some agreements, maybe into some of the beliefs where when was the first time you were stopped from leaving the city? What actually caused it? How did it make you feel? Because some of these things might actually trigger like past life stuff, and from then on it will be like building up things. So if you can find more information, that would be really good. As in like like how did it make you feel, when it all happened, stuff like that. Once you know more details, you can actually dig up your past and be able to get rid of some of the beliefs from back then. Yeah, and Sally, I just saw you saying thank you, like regarding what I said. So yeah, like just a reminder, feel free to write me a comment. I think I got you. I think I saw your email, but like just in case, like write me an email with your full story. Like, it'd be really good if I knew more about you, just in details, and we can definitely work on you. Seth is asking, what do you know about Zeus and Lil? Well, I sort of had a few run-ins with that being in the recent sessions, where massive fleets controlling Earth, and a lot of like this mm, genetically modifying other beings is kind of like trying to abduct people. Like, let's say physical body falls asleep, but the consciousness is being taken, like they harvest it and stuff, and then they like from the astral body, they're able to sort of like clone you, make copies and stuff, and then like once they put you back in, they have a clone of you, and now they're gonna mess you up. So like they have lots of ways how they can trap people, how they can control us. Like they're creating a lot of these like traps. For example, some people, let's say, get out of body or have this like astral projection, and it's like a tunnel. Like it's like a tunnel, and you're just like flying, and you can't get out of there. It seems like no matter how long you go, it's like an infinite, like never ending thing, and you're like, where's the end? Like how can I get out and stuff? And basically this tunnel, like as we're like seeing like going that, it's actually this massive tube, and like while we have one here, just sort of like imagine like a beehive where like you have like one here, one here, one here, like they're basically forming this thing, and it's like this massive construct that's like, as long as you're flying, your energy is being drained, and throughout the whole flight there's sort of like a taking out parts of your consciousness, as like maybe personalities and like traits you have, so sort of like pulling out your happiness, control, creativity, other things, and you come back like waking up like, I don't feel like anything this morning and stuff. So like there's a lot of these things, but definitely a bad guy. Not as bad as Anu and Marduk, but man, the whole control system, the whole taking over and manipulating Puss is kind of like, it's bad. I have like plenty of clients that have been sort of like communicated with Enlil or Enki or other beings, and like they try to pretend like a good guy, say, hey, I'm gonna give you more information and stuff, but next thing you know, they're more like end up as slaves and just puppets and stuff. So there's a whole lot to it. There's a whole lot to Seth and Enlil, Enki, Marduk, all those guys. A whole lot. Okay, so I'm sort of like scrolling through the comments, sort of like top and bottom, like sort of like just shifting it. Okay, Tani is asking, what do you think about the Lyran race? I've seen these beings ever since I was as a child. They seem to be connected to me in some way. Yeah, Lyrans are... There's a lot of good ones. Like, I wouldn't say Lyrans are good, but you have to, like, walk the talk and actually, like, groups, beings. A lot of them are good. They're, like, into helping people. They have ability to teleport. If you've seen movie Jumper, I think it's the Jumper, but basically, they're standing here, they teleport and at any other point, and help person to, like, sort of, like, stopping a lot of these, like, abductions, taking over, like the whole control and stuff. They're into healing, they're into stopping the whole sexual abuse, other kind of things. So they're pretty active. They have lots of forms, but more like feline cat-like beings. There's a lot of them. I mean, like, there's a lot to talk about these, like lots of various scenarios, but I'm just sort of like, as a general sort of brush, that's what I'm sort of experiencing. Okay, I am Yahweh is asking, Akvile, what is the easiest way to manifest your reality, and how do you manifest what you want in life? Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it. Some people like teach law of attraction. There's Joe Dispenza. The thing is, since I was a kid, I had this wild scenery, like like visuals, like and I could just pop up and see things, and like more of a daydreamer. So whatever happens in the surroundings, I'm more like always visualizing, and it's like, this world is like okay, it's kind of like meh, but I always would like have my dream world wherever I create my own scenario. So like it's constantly every day creating things and just having fun with it. So for me, I started doing things like what I would like my life to be like, and just like, okay, this is how I am right now. But like how, let's say in Sims game, you're creating your wanted reality where like you have this massive house and you're like story mode yourself or whatever. You're like, yay, what a happy life, and you're finished playing and you're like, back here again. Let's go eat dinner and stuff. So it's kind of like for me, kind of like was a loner when I was a kid and stuff. And I just always like saw my world differently, like what I would like to do. So for me, it's like constant visualization, and I would just basically perfect my reality. And I don't know, like you could call it like obsessive creation, where for example, parents are like calling me to eat and stuff, and I was like, well, I would like it to be this way. And while my physical body is walking there to sit down and like eat with parents, I like in my, let's say in my own universe, I'm walking there with, let's say like, oh, there's the person I would like enjoy eating it with, and this is how it's gonna be like. And so like physical body's here with parents and their family stuff, but in my own universe it's actually me and the other person and like blah blah blah. And like every single day I would create my own scenario of what my life would be like, and it would be the perfect scenario where I'm not trying to manifest it. I'm not trying to like, I'm gonna make this happen. It's more like, I'm just enjoying seeing this thing and like just feeling that, just sort of experiencing what would it be like to live that life. And like while the physical body was doing one thing, in my consciousness I was creating my dream world and going nuts with it. I seemed like like just like really enjoying it, to the point where I was like like I stopped sort of like imagining or creating this thing, and I'm like just blasting myself with so good feelings, like so many good feelings. I'm like just wow, that felt good. Gotta go to sleep now. And next thing you know is basically that constant buildup of my perfected world started happening. I'm like, whoa, I'm getting calls, I'm getting this happening and this happening. A lot of the events build up where, for example, there's gonna be an Elton John concert, like like they announce, and like the ticket is like a few $100, and I'm like, what? I barely get $5 a week to build up to like $200-300 for a ticket. Are you nuts? So like for me it was impossible, but I was just sort of like daydreaming, like, oh, like like just listening to the music and enjoying it, and sitting there and like, what would it be like to play live? What would it be like actually to get close and like just so to hear the voice and stuff? And a random person gives me a ticket, like, let's go, and I'm like, what the fuck, So one thing after another, I get like a lot of my dreams come true, and wow. So for me, it was like more like visualizing the one scenario and sort of like living it, but like not trying to manifest it, but just enjoying it for myself. And I would say like look up at Joe Dispenza. The way he explains things, he might be clear and stuff, but that would be the way to think about like manifesting your wanted reality. Okay, Nicole is saying, hi Akvile, I don't know if you noticed, but I resent my email because I sent you a draft, just so you know. Okay, I'm gonna check it out, Nicole. Glad you sort of like told me about it. Liberty is saying, thank you for doing these live streams, Akvile. I like listening to this while I draw. Liberty, what are you drawing? Show us some of your art. That would be fun. Okay, so I'm like reading the whole thing like from Never Surrendering, saying every 7 years 2 people would visit me asking how my life was going and what I'm up to. My mom told me it was a school project. I'm suspicious. Me too. Sounds like a secret space program or something that just coming and check you up, like, hey, is he still under control? Is he still not remembering stuff? Yeah, doesn't sound so good, but who knows. By the way, Zach, while I'm sort of like still reading your comment, and you saying that you replied me a couple days ago. Did you make it and stuff? Yeah. I saw you send me an email with an audio, so like whatever you left in the text, I did sessions on that. But you also sent me an audio file from MediaFire, and I cannot access it. Like I started like click on the download button, and it's just like nothing goes up, like nothing's there. So it would be great if you could try to re-upload it, resend it, or maybe use another program. I'm not sure. Like I would love to listen to the audio. It's just like so for some reason it's not going through. Okay, also like Numbers Running is saying, lately when I try to astral project, my astral body raises, but my head is stuck to the pillow, can't raise my head. Okay, so the thing about your body being stuck, like astral body being stuck, part of it is kind of like the anchor points. So what you can do, like let's say anchor, just like let's say a ship, and they let down the anchor, now the ship stops and everything's stuck. So same thing with your astral body being anchored down to the physical body. There will be specific spots on your body, and when you lay down, you're like, and you feel this like massive like sucking you up to the sheets, to the like like mattress and stuff. Like just relaxing and melting from a long day and stuff. But at the same time, you can sort of pick up the points of where are you specifically being anchored down. So it's like sleeping in bed is kind of like sort of like already like a setup for to sort of like pull you back and like sort of make sure like you can't get out. So there's that. One thing you might try to do is, instead of raising your body, for example, like you're sleeping and stuff, like right now you're sleeping, and there's a construct sort of blocking. So you're like, you raise your feet and the whole body's moving, but your head, you just cannot get it out. And there's going to be a construct, or like let's say this field that's like sort of limiting you. So you might move your whole body, but nothing's going on. What you might want to do is like, let's construct is here and sink. Try falling, try imagining like sort of like sinking with the elevator, or like sort of maybe rolling. And maybe if you cannot rise, try moving at the other parts. If that doesn't work, what else could you do? To say teleporting, if you haven't flied out of the astral body, or like as in like with the astral body, that would be might not work. Try imagining the constant working, or let's say this field where you can't move your energy, or like let's say your head is kind of like stuck. So just imagining that thing expanding, just make it bigger and bigger and bigger, and you might actually have space. That might help. So these are just a few things I might suggest right now. Okay, like so Alexander is saying, is there any reason I keep seeing repeating numbers on the clock? I hear it is a common phenomenon, was wondering if it's just cognitive bias or something spooky. Alexander, this is perfectly normal. A lot of people that are sort of like more awake and aware will see a lot of these like 1111, 444, 666, 777, like various like variations of numbers. It's all good. As long as you empower yourself with it. It's more like some people like, oh my god, 666, bad sign because there's someone from the occult system is using it, like, oh, bad. But at the same time, you're like, oh, like 666 from now on for me will mean that there's going to be balance and different things like that. So basically, you can program it, you can look up to some other meanings and stuff, and basically create your own meaning. And every time something happens, you can empower yourself. But it's more like consider this as a good sign. Some people scare themselves with it and just go nuts. And it's kind of like overpaying too much attention and stuff, but consider it like a good sign of like, hey, everything's fine or whatever, For me it works because I actually see the specific number, and like let's say I program myself, every time this number appears I'm just gonna get extra energy or, like better stuff in life, and every time it happens. So for me it works. Okay, Starseed is asking, what do you do if lies are spread about you on the actual internet? How do you delete pages and pictures that were taken of you and posted and you're not there to deal with it? This hasn't really happened to me, not that I'm aware of it. I mean, for example, like on the physical, there can be people talking shit about me, and there's that stuff. But how would I deal with it? Just set up like the whole system. For example, you can go back in time. For example, if you cannot do it, use one of your servitors, give them a command to go back in time and prevent these things from happening, prevent the whole event, or play with the timelines and sort of like all information that was put about you, you could sort of rewrite it as a positive. That would be like sort of like redoing it. Try that. Like if you cannot do it yourself, ask your servitors, since you're using them a lot. Music Am is asking, can you see if I was or am targeted? Yes, but send me an email. Akvile@yahoo.com. Send me an email telling your story, what's going on, maybe a photo, and I'll tell you more details. Okay, Rally Rage is asking, how did you enrich meet your relatives, and would love a film, a documentary on YouTube one day. That would be fun. Yeah, I don't know, like Rich was on YouTube for a long time, and I think like around 2011, that's when I like sort of like woke up about things that are going on. And for me, I was sort of like noticing, all these things like going into the like what's Illuminati, what's this, or like doing my own research and stuff. And then I was like looking at David Icke, and like Rich YouTube was there, and I was like, oh, like Rich is talking about Matrix. So I just started like watching his videos, like seemed cool. And then he was talking about getting out of body. Back then, I did not really have the like sort of perfection of my skills. If I was getting out, I did not knew what it was. I was just like, oh, that was experience, cool, like whatever, just like a normal thing that everyone has, right? So for me, like I started talking to Rich on YouTube, like back then when they still have like PMs, like personal messages and stuff. And I asked him like, hey, if I was to get out of body, would this be possible? Blah blah blah. And sort of I had questions about the possibilities with getting out of body, and something that seemed like worth learning, because back then I sort of like a lot of stuff happened in my life, and I was suppressing everything. So I sort of like turned off my abilities to see entities, to get out of body, and other things. And I was basically like, just like, just fuck everything, So like with Rich, I sort of like got interest, and sort of he gave me a free access to Hisubi bootcamp because I didn't have money back then. And since then, I was like worked my ass off like for like as long as it lasted, like to try to get as many results as possible, to learn all techniques, and I was able to successfully have Ubis. I had experience with UFOs and stuff, and shared stories with him since then. He started practicing to guide me out of body. For example, we connect on, back then it was Uvu, then we moved to Skype and stuff, but basically I would just like sit here like right now, and he would give me commands and guide me out of body, and I was like, whoa, we can explore and stuff. And I would basically like, okay, here I am, this is what I'm seeing so far, and Rich gives me command like, okay, go there, do that, see what's there. And he would give me the whole freedom to experience everything, and I would just give them feedback. And we started practicing since then, and he sort of helped me build up my skills. And from then on, we sort of like back and forth, connecting every day. Seemed like we have a lot of information. Seemed like he does not have ability to get out of body as freely as I do, but he has the knowledge. While I have the ability to get out, but I have no knowledge of this world. And so like he's like the mentor with all the experience, and whatever I experienced like out there in the out of body, I bring it back to him, and he's able to explain like, why am I seeing this, what's going on. He was sort of like my massive support of shaping my belief system and who am I right now. And so with that, every day we were talking, and sort of he was teaching me and stuff like that, and we're like, okay, just imagine one day we were to meet up, and we would just like massively 4 hours practice getting out of body and finding things, and that was like fun thing to do, getting out of body, learning things. And so 2015, I think, 2015, he came to Lithuania for a few weeks to check things out, and it's like, hey, like, what's up, let's see, like, what's Lithuania like. We ended up going to America together. And so like I met his wife there, and it's like, it was like all cool, and just learning things. So back then it's like back and forth, we're studying, learning together. And right now it's more like since he doesn't have kids, I'm more like carrying over the knowledge, like how some people inherit stuff, like who's gonna inherit his knowledge and stuff like that. So I'm like trying to learn from him as much as possible, so that whatever he has, I would be able to give it back to humanity in my own way. And even though I'm not good, he's just amazing. I find Rich to be the most amazing person with a lot of knowledge, and with his own quirks and stuff. So it's kind of like a person like similar to David Icke or Tony Robbins or whatever, that wasn't noticed that much by the mainstream. But the knowledge, the ways to deal with things, this massive philosopher that works 24/7, I'm sleeping here, like he, like whatever, has his own thing, but like he wakes up and basically all night long, every time he wakes up, he was working on massive methods and just trying out what works for quieting the mind, for getting rid of the vanities, shares all his ways, and we do sessions and stuff. So there's a lot of history with us, like, working together, and yeah, not like it's just, like, awesome to see someone who basically taught me and brought me up to where I am right now. And so I know, like, I'm massively thankful for what he did, because basically I was like a kid that could not talk for myself, that I could not have my own opinion. I was basically like just trying to be this like cute little thing that like don't talk, don't engage, don't do anything. And he brought me to this level where right now I'm on YouTube speaking for 2 hours with 50 people nonstop and having fun with it. So I don't know, that would be like our short story. But yeah. So, I don't know, like, I just, like, you're just sort of fun to watch together, both of you make me laugh, I'm glad. Yeah, Rich is awesome, so... I'm glad people are watching his videos, I wish he would get more recognition, he's definitely worth it. Hi, it's okay, Sage, no worries about the money, like, I'm really glad just to be here and talk to you all, you know, no worries about the nations, it's a side thing, come on. Okay, so Lewis Robert is saying, I became insomniac because of entities and being approached, abducted hundreds of times. I understand I did not own my body very early. Yeah, entities, abductions, other things. It's a common thing for a lot of people. Lewis, have you done anything regarding this? Like, I mean, any methods, any ways to fix things up? And how is it like right now? Because these abductions, there's a lot of beings like interested in this. They see us like as a merchandise, as a product, and they can do a whole lot with it. Yeah, Flowers in the Wind is asking, can a person reprogram an entity for the sole reason of getting free from them? Yes, you can. And the thing is, entities, just imagine them as beings who do not have their own free will. So if there's a higher up who's like, fuck up that person and do this, and basically they might be ordered to mess with you, to suck out your energy, to do some other things, you know, they're there to mess with you. And so you can be the upper one and actually either free them from their controllers or sort of like give them a new program and to like, if you're in my space, at least help me out, at least like give me energy, at least do this, and you can totally get something out of it. Darius is asking, would you like to do a stream of sculpting some entities? Definitely. I am thinking about this whole thing. Like, if I practice with Blender, like today was like just a few minute thing where like, oh look, something like I can actually get the look of the being I saw there. So like, if I spend more time practicing and creating these beings, we can totally have like just like talking to you, answering questions while like moving things in Blender, and like, lo, looks like we have some entities, reptilians, and other beings out there. It would totally be a thing, and like it would actually help you because like we're talking about like learns and other races, and while we have some fan art or like some like sort of images of them on the Google and internet and stuff, like I could actually get something from myself, like, oh, like there's this being that I saw that like I mentioned their name and I don't know if you saw this, but here's the look, and actually a lot of people are like, hey, I saw the being too, so that would be a cool thing. Deciphering my experience is saying, do you have any knowledge about the US government mind control programs and how do you make corrections? So, sort of like from what I've read up, like with all the patents and stuff like that, and also having clients who have the members of the like Masonic cults and different things, who have been the victims of MK Ultra and Secret Space Program and Montauk and other things. I have lots of those. On doing, or like, let's see, corrections, you have to go deep. Like, the programmings they do, the breaking of personality, I don't know, it's a lot. to correct the person or to help them, you have to go like deep into the whole like programming, the core of like where it all start, and also look at the like agreements, passive things that would be like smaller, but like just sort of like recall, go through the whole program of what happened to you right here, and like look for any implants and other things. You can sort of like do a whole lot of work with simply your visuals or imagination or just your thoughts, where you think of an implant and how it's affecting you, and you can sort of like imagine blowing it up and it's gonna happen. So there's that. Looking into possibilities of being abducted and other kind of things, that's part of it as well, but there's a whole lot of what can be done, and I'm just sort of like touching the surface. Okay, Crystal Dragon is saying, I got a question today. I am having paranoid thoughts that are reoccurring and irrational. How would I be able to tell if it's me going through something or interference from something? Okay, Crystal or Anthony, basically, a lot of these thoughts, like even the whole thinking thing, isn't ours. These thoughts, like in the physical universe, is implanted because, let's say, if you get out of body, or if you try astral projection, it's so clear. Not a single thought. It's knowingness, it's experiencing things. It's like you look at something and you're like, I'm gonna fly there. You don't go like that. It's more like, and you go. You simply see things and you act on it. So here, the whole programming, the whole mind is more of a setup. It's more like an implanted stuff. So everything we think of is entity clusters, is projected and stuff, and not really us. So that would be the start of it, but then you have to sort of like list out what specific thoughts do you have. Like, for example, you can watch, is there a specific time of the day when you get certain thoughts, when you get certain feeling states and stuff? Because there will be entity clusters who will, let's say, this cluster of entities can have like thousands to million to billion, whatever, like however big it can be. But basically, this one is responsible for being anxious. This one is responsible for being aggressive. This one is responsible for being rageful, for going berserk, for like being triggered about like smallest things. And you have all of these clusters with specific traits. So you can check if there's a specific time of the day when it kicks in. How does it make you feel at certain moments? And you can list out a lot of like these like personalities or like that like whole thinking and what kind of irrationality. And if you list out, you're gonna see the pattern of like when it kicks in and who comes over. And all of a sudden you're like, okay, so I'm affected by these beings. And while it might not be entity cluster specifically, there might be someone else projecting it to you, or like, hey, well, this guy is super aware and we have to stop him and stuff. So your connection to some beings or their interest in you might cause it. So if you're able to sort of like pay attention to what happens, to how you feel, just write it down. Like, okay, just you're going rageful or whatever happens, you have this like rational thinking, write it down. Like, what does it feel like? How would you name it? Put a label on it. Like, once you have a label, you can sort of like see who's there and how, like, or like what happens. And then you can do some sort of entity removal or other things. So that would be touching the surface. But yeah, that's where I would start. Okay, yeah. Crystal, I'm reading your second comment regarding that affecting your relationship. It's a setup. If it's affecting your relationships, it's definitely a third party. Because from what I know personally with your life, there's a lot of things going on, and seems like the only person that is good to you, that you have connection with, that you trust, and if it causes the issues between you two, it's a setup to basically destroy everything you have and take it all apart. And I don't know, write me an email if you want, or contact with Rich. We can definitely sit down and do some work if we can. And I'm also going to your second question. Have I encountered cat beings that fit the description? Not cat people, but cats about tiger size, pale blue and colored with yellow undersides. Saw a group of 4 in my yard recently. No, I'm not really thinking of specific not really. That would be like probably the first time specifically with those. Phase Beast is asking random question, but is that a cyberpunk wallpaper? No, it's more like I really like the whole retrowave, vaporwave, synthwave style with like music and stuff, and so like if I Google that stuff, like hey, that's a cool wallpaper, so I'm gonna get it, and that's it. But like it's definitely that kind of like futuristic thing, and you know when cyberpunk comes out, I might get that wallpaper as well. Because I'm sort of like reading through the questions, and wow, you all wrote so much. I'm looking at the question from Music asking coolest thing you did while having an out of body experience. And a thing like for me would be seeing this massive fleet, and it's just like imagine space opera. A lot of like good guys versus bad guys. They're just duking it out there, trying to fight for territory and who's here, and just sort of like watching the whole thing and like okay, so that's what's going on. And so just looking at the whole enemy fleet with 5,000 spaceships, just like and they all explode and destroy and stuff, and you see their like structures and grids and everything else falling apart, and the good guys are like finally winning and getting the sort of like final blow where like yay, we finally can take the side and have more control over this part and like try to help others. So I feel like being involved in the whole space opera is like pretty fun. Cesaria, hi, good to see you here. Okay, Lewis is asking, Akvile, do you sometimes need the help of a healer or reader on Earth? Yeah, sometimes I definitely get messed up. Like, sometimes the sessions, for example, I'm like, I did like 7 sessions today. I'm going on the 8th one, and it's like writing down the details. And I like while reading their email with the story, I get access to what they're experiencing. So I get access to people suffering and other things, and that just knocked me out. Like I'm like, whoa, like I'm just reading things and the whole energy just goes away. I'm like knocked out, sleepy as can be, and like really like sort of like out of the zone. So I had this little piece of chocolate, sort of like felt better. But there are times when like it's really sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes like I get some issues and stuff, maybe some limited beliefs, and my healer I have Rich. So basically, he's using like his own universal release methods and stuff, just basically going deep into the core beliefs and shifting my understanding or like getting it out there and stuff. So he's the one that like usually helps me if anything happens. Okay, I'm reading the question from Cosmos United asking, how can we untie our soul from the actual places where it's closed in? So, if you are aware of the space where your astral body is sort of like stuck in, I would say that just the whole sort of like either destroying the whole construct, talking to the beings and having them free you, or simply teleporting yourself out of there. There are a lot of times where, for example, either clients I work with, they get trapped, or let's say they try to hunt me down, like just like I get out there in space and like I see like my astral body is like sort of like being used as this massive nuclear power plant where they just sort of like have my astral body tied up and sort of like using the energy from that part into powering up their whole planet and stuff. There's a lot of those with other people and stuff, but basically I'm like, okay, so my other part is stuck there and I get out of body, or simply I'm aware of that event and I'm just like focusing on myself and sort of like imagining myself unchaining, like breaking all the sort of things that are limiting me, and sort of simply thinking of a place where I want my other part to be, and just like, okay, this is my part, this is the place, and I'm gonna teleport it there, and that's how I free. So simply like thinking of another place or destroying the structures and mocking them, like uncreating them and stuff, that would be a way to go. Internet Animals asking, do you have any experience with Robert Monroe's missing audio program for Ubis? Yeah, Rich sort of like showed me a few. I had listened to a few of those tapes probably, but like, not much. So like, just was listening to like, yay, something's going on probably, but like, back in the when I was sort of like practicing it and not much was happening. So like, not much. Do I know the Overwatch channel on YouTube? He has lots of great info. No, Alexander, this is the. I probably have heard of it, but I have not watched it. Seth is saying, being evil is overrated. Too much of it already. So just gonna be a hipster and be benevolent. That's the best way, mate. Okay, Didos Chapas is asking, some people that were addicted say that believing in God and asking to help to fight the addiction helped them to overcome it, and what are your thoughts on it? Addicted to drugs and else. Okay, so basically, like, it really depends on who are you asking for help. And for example, like, like some people might ask help from God, from Archangel Michael, or some other being, maybe some of their spirit guides. And sometimes a person doesn't really have a clear picture. They're just like, oh God, please help me with blah 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 blah. And the label is God, but the understanding is like a deity that like looks like this. They don't really go with standards of who and how they work and stuff. They just sort of like have an image and like bare understanding. And a lot of people are like, they don't really care about the God or like how it works. But like when stuff happens and they're really crushed and they're really sort of like grabbing onto the straw, like basically just looking for their last resort, this is where they like, oh God, please help, blah 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 blah. And sort of like even like non-believers. So like some people who are not clear might get entities and beings who call themselves God or Jesus or someone else, and they might get messed with. Other people might be very clear, okay, this is my God, this is how I see them, this is what they do, this is their understanding about it. So they're very clear and very specific about the being that they're asking help from. And since they're calling out for specifically that and knowing that this being is only there to help and serve and, protect and blah blah blah, then the being can definitely get help. So it really depends on how specific you are. And, while some people might actually get, messed with by Archangel Michael, for example, others know specifically, like, my Archangel Michael version is this, and they have actually lots of benefit from it. So, like, just because one person has some bad experiences mean that everyone will have the same thing. It's really about how specific you are and who you actually talk to there. So, yeah. Swim is asking, why did you specifically choose to incarnate in the 20th century? It wasn't more like about like, oh, I'm gonna come here in the 20th century or like on like specific timing. It's more like there are people stuck here who are asking for help, and I've been with them in my past lives. We have some unfinished business. I'm gonna come here right now because they're asking for help. So it's more like I don't care about the timing or anything else. It's more like they're here right now, and I'm gonna go in and see what happens. So, I guess. But at the same part, the people here are more like being stuck and like reincarnating here for a few times. So like I guess now with technologies, it's easier way to contact and get the results I want. Because incarnating into a family and being a baby of someone who's like somewhere far away and had a hard time to contact, that might be an issue. So like probably like part of this as well. Someone's asking, if you could choose again, would you choose to be born in a different country? No. For me, Lithuania is a perfect place. And right now, I don't know, it fits my standards. I heard like some other countries are good and stuff, but like, it fits all my standards of like clean air and people and all their stuff. So yeah, I would not want to change it up. Mm, Knoodles is asking, is the pandemic control and compliance a well-planned method to track two intellectual groups? I don't know specifically about the intellectual groups, but it's definitely a well-planned method to track everyone, to keep a track of a lot of beings and control them and see how well this thing works. You know, well, some things like okay, so this, they have the pandemic and they're gonna sort of like test it out to see how far they can go, but it's more like, no, they're going all all in as much as they can. Okay, any advice? Question by Sage. Any advice on techniques on how to revoke our soul agreements and contracts that are holding us back? So it's about being super specific. Let's see. I could probably like show you a quickie of what I mean by being specific, and we'll see what happens. So what we need is, let's say, a journal, a place where we can write. Whoa, it's gonna be light here. You're gonna see all my weird looks. Okay, so let's say we're gonna... I'm just gonna mess around with the settings. Okay, so let's talk about soul contracts, right? Capture window. Let's see. There we go. So I'm gonna minimize myself. Just a second, wonderful people. Okay, so we have this. So I think like it's visual enough. Right. Thank you, Sarseed. All right, so yeah, let's talk about soul contracts and stuff. How do we find agreements, and how can we be specific and stuff like that? All right. So we start with finding our item or thing we want to address, how to get specific. So you look at your life and what current problems do you have, what are you going through, what's getting in the way, what's bothering you. You just look at like, okay, what is it, something I don't like, or something's going on that I sort of want to fix and all. And with that, you basically like, okay, I just have to reflect on my own life. Not getting back to as many people as I want to, that'd be the thing. Okay, so like my item right now, like there's a lot of emails I have, there's a lot of people like asking questions and stuff, and I'm not getting to as many people as I'd like to. So that would be my item. We're gonna mark it red and make this smaller, because why not? Agreements. All right. So my item is not getting back to as many people as I'd like to, and specifically regarding writing back emails, answering questions and stuff like that. How do we start? I have a little thing that will help me out. It's a question list. Yeah. You can actually see the whole question list. So what I do is I look at my question list and I go, okay, so what might be some of the reasons for not getting back to as many people as I would like to? And now that we're looking for agreements, everything I say, everything I'm going to express about it is my agreement of how am I experiencing reality, how does it all work for me and stuff like that. So we start with what might be some of the reasons for not getting back to as many people as I would like to, for myself. Well, I have lots of interests during the day. I have lots of interests during the day. I have lots of things to do. Giving tons of sessions. What might be some reasons for not getting back to as many people as I would like to? Not having enough information, not giving them a priority. And all of these are my agreements. Like, I don't give a priority to everyone. So is not getting back to as many people as I would like to do to me. It is new to me. Like, it's kind of like I've never had such a following or so many people interested in me. Like, I was always a person who was neglected, left behind, unnoticed, invisible. So like right now, am I overwhelmed? Not really. I'm enjoying this. So that's not really an issue. But then again, maybe it is. So like I'm enjoying getting lots of attention. So like when people write me, and that would be like already amplifying that like you all are giving me the reason to like, hey, they want me, they need me, so I feel needed, I feel important, I feel like I have a reason to live and do something. And so like with all of this, these things, even though it seems good, all of a sudden it becomes my problem, because my like, hey, if I get emails subconsciously or somewhere there, like if I get all these questions and stuff and I don't spend all the time replying to everyone, I feel like this like, hey, I'm actually important, someone needs me. And all of a sudden this is kind of like somewhere deep within where like, this is good, this is helping me to survive and stuff, like, so like there might be that thing, but let's go deeper, let's see what else. What is not getting back to as many people as I would like to suggest? I suggest that I'd and this makes me chuckle, and this is the biggest truth, I'd rather do something else than spend all my time applying to everyone every day. And so like this made me laugh, this made me like giggle and stuff, chuckle. I'd rather do something else than spend all my time replying to everyone every day. And so like this is the biggest truth for me, and that's where I stop, because now it's like a point of realization, a point of like, well, yeah, like I would much rather do something else than spend all my time replying emails or sending back like PMs and stuff, so I handle as many people as I want, and I give myself to be happy to do whatever. That's when I'm done. So we found my agreements, we just have to add the part of I agree that. So this will be like a pretty good like way to show how it works. So like I agree that I have lots of interest during the day, blah blah blah. So basically these are the things I sort of agree to. So I'm just gonna add this so that you would know how to do it, and this is like a big one as well. So like right now I have all of my agreements listed out. Next step is doing Cameron Day's thing. Somewhere in my videos I dug out the commands, so we can just do the whole demo. I'm going to my YouTube video where I sort of have all the commands, and sort of like I'm gonna use that as my stuff. Let's see. Okay, we're just gonna do the whole session with people. So like yeah, and these would be the commands. Nothing's visible. Shit. Okay. Wait. Can we give them a color of, okay, there's blue, just a little bit of, whatever. Okay, so like number 1, number 2, number 3. I just copied it from my YouTube, so it's not like actually too visible or perfect or whatever, but like you'll see how I do the process, and you might just like, let's say, I can cut this video out later and put it in separately so that you would be able to do it yourself or like try it out for yourself. So this is gonna be demo. Okay, so now we have, come on. Alright, so now we have the commands. First, stand in the power of your divine inner self sovereignty, and that's where we stop. First, stand in the power of your... So it's like when you do this method, like when you revoke contracts, it's not about like, I'm just gonna read it over and this is gonna be revoked. No. You have to work at it. So, stand in the power of your divine inner self sovereignty. What the fuck does it mean? Like, what's divine inner self? So for me, my own personal definition of how I see it is divine inner self is basically your godlike abilities, who you are as a god, like your ability to have all the powers, to be unlimited, to be infinite, to be unstoppable. And for myself, I can sort of like imagine a picture of, let's say, my heroes, maybe Vegeta, maybe Goku, maybe someone I admire. Like when I connect to that character, like, hey, their powers, like they fill me up and I feel like wow, now I feel like I can do something. So like, for example, like, right, that would be my divine inner self sovereignty, where I start feeling like, hey, I'm powerful, I'm unlimited. Like, I feel this energy sort of like just bubbling up, and like, hey, like, it's really like powering me up. Like, whoa, I'm getting excited and stuff. So that's like where you sort of like are doing it right, where you connect to that aspect of yourself where you're empowering yourself, where you're feeling good. Now we have done this part. The next part is expand the light of your divine inner self from your heart, surrounding your body in a sphere of sovereign energy. So now, as I'm feeling this powerful energy, like it's just filling me up with, like, all over the place, I'm gonna focus it on my heart area, and I'm just gonna sort of like use this place to expand it all, and just sort of like surround myself with this bubble of energy, where right now this place around me, it's just kind of like a massive fire field for the entities where they cannot get through. For me, this is shielding, it's empowering, this is my own sovereign space. Wow, I am powered up. Next step. Connect to the Earth's core. So now, people like Earth's core is like this bubbly magma thing, like it's fire and stuff. Like, that's your own definition, maybe. For me, it is like, let's say, Gaia Sophia. So that would be like the motherly Earth's energy that has this like massive love and connection. And so you connect this Earth's feminine side, and like, so like basically, I would sort of relax, think of the core, like, what is Gaia Sophia for me? Like this massive feminine energy that will fill me up, that will empower me. And now just sort of feel like this love energy and this sort of like good happiness, this kind of like kindness fill me up. And this energy more like expanding even more. So like, like it's just like relaxing. Next step, connect to the galactic core. And so like I would sort of imagine a place in the galaxy where the core, like, you know, like kind of like a for me it's a place that can get rid of all the entities. Like, so basically it's kind of like a, let's say for some people it's kind of like a black, how should I say, black hole. But it's a place for like getting rid of like sort of like transmuting everything else. So galactic core is a place of transmutation. It's a place of like sort of cleaning everything out, and sort of like you connect with this sort of like a clearing place. And now, like, you know, like just basically you know that there's gonna be justice. There's gonna be sort of like someone who's gonna hold you up and make sure like everything's safe and stuff. So like now, like I feel like kind of like this sort of like a more of a masculine feeling up, like where like, you know, there's strength, you know, there's security and stuff. Next step, infinite source and the infinite source. And therefore, yeah. So infinite source is basically, what is a source, right? So for me, it is that consciousness that we all came from. The consciousness that I am us, like being able to be you, being myself, being everyone else in this universe, being able to be every single being, having this vast knowledge and information, and simply connecting to every being who is conscious, who is experiencing something, just simply connecting to absolutely everyone. And that is the consciousness. So like, now, like, it's just this massive information that's filling me up, where, like, you know, you're basically gathering yourself up with all of these abilities. Next part, forces of divine source light. Now, these for me are the basically beings like cats and dogs, someone who's super loving, super kind, and just basically are there to give and like take care of you and stuff. So like now, I'm sort of like thinking of them, like seeing them right in front of me, and just like imagine what it's like to pet your favorite puppy, and just like how much they love you. Or maybe there's a person in your life who's taking care of you. Maybe there's someone who gave you that kind of like love and kindness, and you're like, wow, it sure feels good. So like this kind of energy, you're just filling yourself up when you're connecting with it. Now that we have done that, galactic vacuum is simply like a vacuum cleaner you use in the house, except it's like a vortex that works in the multiverse. So like this galactic vacuum is simply a vortex of energy. And right now I'm sort of in my mind like, okay, just like be sure to be ready to remove everything into the galactic core, like what this command says. So like right now I gave command for this vortex of energy to remove everything I don't want or need in my space. Next step, call up all agreements related to soul contract, like your main thing. So my main thing is right now not getting back to as many people as I would like to. So like right now, like I'll call up all agreements related to not getting back to as many people as I would like to on this timeline and all the other timelines in the past, present, and future within all dimensions, densities, levels, realms, and realities. It's just saying that won't really help. So what you have to do is sort of like, okay, this is my main thing right now, but you sort of like imagine or connect to all of your past lives, everything that's going on right now, past, present, and future, every single dimension, place, level, like all of that's like every place where your stuff might exist. You connect to all these forms. Like, so like right now I see all the possibilities. Now that this has been done, I'm gonna call up all of these agreements where I agree that I have lots of interests during the day. I agree that I have lots of things to do. That I have I agree that I'm giving tons of sessions. I agree that I'm not having enough information. That I'm not giving them a priority. I agree that I'm enjoying getting lots of attention where people write to me or ask me for something. I agree that I feel needed, I feel important. I agree that I feel like I have reasons to live and do something. And I also agree that I would rather do something else than spend all my day replying to everyone every day. So I called up all these agreements. Basically, you can imagine them as a little paper, as a little book, a document, anything else. You sort of pile them up. Okay, these are all of my agreements, and you can find more. You can find 5, 10 pages, 20. There's gonna be massive lists and stuff. Now that I sort of see all of these agreements, we're gonna call forth all reinstatement clauses. It's basically the agreements that come back after revocation. Sometimes we remove all of these agreements and they come back. They're why? I worked my ass off. Why this thing is still happening? So we make sure we remove a way for them to get back. So reinstatement clauses, copies, backups, mirrors. Mirrors are basically, let's say, phones or anything in the mirror world. For example, all this reverse and stuff. You sort of call up, make sure everything that's sort of hidden and sort of reverse and backflip and stuff like that is out there as well. Counterparty copy. These are the basically agreements that other beings will have. So while you know that okay, maybe I'm not getting back to as many people as I can, but I think of every single person right now, all maybe some of you right now, or other entities and beings, they will hold my agreement as well because they too believe that I'm not getting back to as many people as I can. She just didn't write to me. I still I'm waiting for Akvile's reply since July and stuff. Well, you have my agreement. So I cover absolutely every being that has that agreement as well. Thank you, I'll take it from you and put it in my whole pile. Now I sort of have this massive pile of agreements and copies and other things, so making sure nothing can come back. I covered everything. Now, basically, from the inner authority of my sovereign self, I declare all of these agreements null and void. And so I revoke all of these agreements as well as all counterparty copies, reinstatement clauses, duplicates, backups, mirrors, etc. So everything we just named, all this massive pile, we focus on destroying it. It just basically explodes, burns up, turns into ashes, is being sucked out. It's clearing out everything. Every single agreement you have, you can visualize the whole process and get rid of them one by one, or simply burning the whole thing. Either you visualize it as I told you, or do it in your own way where you can think of bubbles and shooting them up or something. Your own a way of how you want to do it. Next, as I imagine these things burning up and this whole thing is happening, next is I send all of these agreements and alpha as previously named the galactic vacuum to be transmuted in the galactic core. So this galactic vacuum, this massive vortex of energy, will suck up all this dust and ashes left from the agreements, and we'll make sure this stuff, all of these agreements that I had that were destroyed, will now be taken to the galactic core for the place of where everything bad that was happening, everything that was controlling my life, will be turning into something that will, let's say, get better. And basically, it's not not gonna affect me anymore, but that thing will sort of transform into something better and we'll be able to move on. Let's say whether it is the entities or something else, that can be gone. That being said, we're gonna call for file counterparty copies of these agreements and send them into the galactic vacuum for transmutation. So that being said, basically every single being that has your agreement, if they're entities and stuff, and making sure all of these copies that they've had, we're sucking every single copy and stuff from whoever else was holding it, we make sure they're taken away as well. So this person that was holding your agreement, we're take it away from them, thank you, bye now, and basically not giving them a right to control us or have anything over us. That being said, then there's the whole command that you might say yourself, or just out loud to yourself, or simply short version, but basically, I am sovereign. All of you parasitic counterparty beings are hereby notified that you are forbidden from ever affecting my energy again. If you do attempt to violate my sovereign energy sphere, I will forcefully send you to the galactic core to be transmuted. And while transmuting will be the best thing that has ever happened to you, it's possible that you will not emerge if there's nothing left within you to salvage and transmute. You have been warned. So this massive command of how it all works, but basically, long story short, fuck off. If you fuck with me again, I'm gonna make sure you're dead. Kind of a little declaration, a little sort of warning, if you fuck with me, I'm gonna take care of you. So these beings, every single entity, every single being that is affecting specific agreements that we have mentioned, now has been warned. Not absolutely everyone, specific beings that are connected to the agreements that we have addressed. With that being said, next step is to offer these demiurgic counterparty being an opportunity to step into galactic vacuum, to be taken to the galactic core and transmuted. What that means is every single entity, every single ET connected to these agreements we have mentioned, everyone who's part of it, of controlling us, of limiting us and stuff, whatever issue you might have and you might be addressing, what we do is like we call them up. You can imagine this massive line of people or like beings lining up, and this whole, like, let's say stadium, arena, where all these beings line up, and like right now you see how many of them were affecting you, and I see them all, and you can be kind of like, hey, okay, all of you, if you step into a galactic vacuum, you're going to be taken and like you're going to be transmuted. So it means like from being a slave, you're going to be reshaped into having your own free will and having able to get your own new body and like sort of become better. You can be free from all the control if they want to take it. If they don't take it, they're like, nah, fuck you, I'm not going there. Like, what are you going to do? So if they're not going there by free will, you can force them. You can sort of like imagine a leash on them and like getting them go, or like you can simply imagine the galactic vacuum sucking them all up. But while you're being kind and give them a free way to leave, those that do not want to leave are basically people who will not want to actually get better. They're like stuck there. So what we do is every single being that is messing with you, that has the control over you and stuff, we take them and make sure the galactic vacuum, this vacuum cleaner, will suck up all the dust. So all these entities and stuff will be sucked out, and they will be transmuted to something better. And so like from entities they turn into like finally free consciousness that will not be affected by them. So like with all that, we have done the first important part. Number 11, I have changed the commands and stuff, but basically this step, usually it's number 12 in Cameron's day stuff, but it's super important. So it would be really good if each thing you took it separately. Not just declare, I remove all the imprinting, implants, and overlays, blah, 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 to be like sort of like revoked, but take it separately. I remove all imprinting related to not getting back to as many people as I can, or as I want. What was the thing? As I'd like to. Okay, so like all the imprinting is kind of like scars where I'm just looking for every single imprint, every single thing that is sort of like keeping me stuck. I was like, okay, like as imprint goes, like, you know, like having better things to do, not giving them a priority, just like basic stuff. So basically I would imagine separate agreements and revoking it. Next part, implants. So basically I remove all implants connected to not getting back to as many people as I would like to. So all implants of maybe there's a mechanism, or like let's say implant that is sort of like, okay, if that person gets help, they're gonna get good, and that's not good, so let's redirect Akvile with something better to do, something more interesting. And all of a sudden, I'm about to read your email, and I'm like, fuck that, I'm gonna do my own thing. And all of a sudden, they keep me away from helping you, they keep me away from doing something important, maybe finding something like interesting, and anything that can help humanity and stuff. So like right now, there might be plenty of implants, and I focus on those, like, okay, I'm sort of like, I have an idea of where it is. Revoked, they just blow up, disappear, sucked out. Overlays. So overlays is kind of like a frosting. It's kind of like a mask you put on. So the overlay is kind of like, again, anything that will like overlays related to not getting back to as many people as I would like to, and that would be having better things to do, having different interests. What else would it be? An overlay. Simply like losing an interest in stuff, like that would be a thing, or like so like having other people to get back to instead of these, so like basically preference of people and stuff like that. So like I would just look throughout the agreements and get rid of them as well. Then we do beliefs, so all of my beliefs regarding not getting back to as many people as I would like to. So beliefs regarding like, okay, like I said previously, having better things to do, not as important, or just like different priorities. I don't want to spend all my time just working. I want to enjoy my life as well. And so like if I enjoy my life, or like who say that like responding to people and helping them will not be enjoyable. So like that's a belief that it's not as enjoyable as the other thing, and that's like revoked. I imagine that agreement sort of like a thing exploding, being destroyed, and that's gone. Perception of all the perceptions of not getting back to as many people as I would like to. Perception of like the way I see stuff and experience is that some of them might be overwhelming. I'm not getting enough information. I'm not getting much out of it and stuff. So like a lot of these things, like of how I perceive the situation, like when I get an email or stuff, or like when you ask questions, I'm like, yeah, but next. And so like my perception is like, you know, like it's just, I will not be able to help you out as much as I want to, or something else. So all of these things that I'm focusing on, revoked, I imagine them being destroyed, out of here. attitudes, like the way I act, the attitude I have regarding not getting back to as many people as I would like to. Again, like having lots of interests, but then again, like I might spend my time enjoying myself, but actually not doing something really important, not actually finding things that would be beneficial for others. So like that would be the attitude like of having better things to do, having more like interests in something else. Prioritizing something is also a thing. And what else? I don't know, like feeling like I'm gonna, like attitude of like I'm gonna burn out. I'm gonna sort of like be overwhelmed, and it's just like I need to stop at certain limits. So like attitude of setting a limit for myself and not allowing myself to just keep on going and just maybe get new standards and stuff. So like I put myself a limit where like it's just an attitude. It's just like I maybe have a limit. Yeah. So like that out. Like fuck that shit. Identities are like my characteristics, my personalities, my identity of like regarding not getting back to as many people as I would like to. Identities of, let's say, lazy, tired, overwhelmed, not interested. This would be like the negatives one that actually would keep me away from that sort of thing. So, fuck those identities, don't need that anymore. Out. Entities, and I feel like, Karen Day and others don't really mention entities, so like I added it myself. So all the entities, like little entity clusters that will be affecting me regarding not getting back to as many people as I would like to. So entities redirecting my attention, entities sort of like breaking the communication, entities affecting emails where I send it and it doesn't go through, entities where people send me an emails and I don't get it as well, entities that would suck out my energy, that would overwhelm me, entities that would actually remove the interests and sort of like just like mess me out, this stuff. So I would basically focus on all these clusters of entities with the labels I put on them, and I imagine them going out as well. We don't need them here. Frozen emotions is basically emotions stuck in time. That's like sort of like continuous emotion where overwhelmed might be the one emotion of overwhelmed, of setting a limit where like to how many people I should get back to, and like having better things to do. So that is out. Like we don't need those like frozen emotions, and that's where the file usually ends. But ever since I was doing sessions, I'm gonna add a few more frozen actions. Frozen actions of like not getting back to people, but more like stopping myself. A frozen action of stopping myself where I could actually keep on going, but I'm like, nope, stop. So like that's an action where I must always like sort of hit the limit, or sort of like that's the standard, and after that it's stop. So there's a frozen action of stopping myself. That would be a one. A frozen action of let's see, what also like not getting back to as many people as I would like to. Frozen actions regarding that. It seems like that was the bigger one. I'm just sort of like scanning my fields and like parts that I might find something new. Getting my priorities on or interests redirected. For example, redirecting my attention, that would be the thing. It's not as much a procrastination, but like more like, okay, I'm helping people, I'm doing stuff, but all of a sudden like, okay, done, I have this massive thing to do that I just got massive interest to. Like, so like the shift on activities is also a thing. So like I imagine these things and it's out, like I sort of like I'm aware of these things that I have and I revoke them. So like I destroy these like parts of me. I no longer need that. Frozen emotions, frozen actions, decisions, like Cameron Day doesn't mention as well. So decision that I do have a limit, decision that I need to stop, that I need to do something better, that I have more important things to do, that what else, that other parts that I like, let's say projects I'm working on are not gonna get done by themselves, so like I have to shift and like I have to be in control, I have to push other projects, so that's also a thing. Fuck those decisions, like I'm done with them, so like out, so like I destroy them. And we can sort of like look at this thing, like look how many things you can find, and if you take them one by one, not just reading over like blah 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 blah, I sort of like read over it and it's done. Like no, stop. You have to look deeper into all these things controlling your life. It's just all regarding not getting back to as many people as I would like to. Imagine if you were addressing headaches, heartaches, some other stuff like physical body experiences, stops from moving off from the city, having stomach aches, other kind of things. you go specific, you find so many things, and you're just like, wow, like who knew that there were so many? And so we're just touching this surface issue that like basically stops me from getting back to as many people as I would like to. That being said, let's say we found plenty of these things and I feel comfortable. So now that we have named all these things, you can always add extra, but basically now that I destroy them, there's another part where it says, ask your divine inner self to direct a galactic vacuum throughout your unconscious mind, subconscious mind, and now throughout your sphere of consciousness to remove all of these components and anything else related to these agreements. Basically, what we do is like this super powerful part of yourself, this super powerful part where, you know, like you have the strength, you have like your superhero thing, and that part of you will basically make sure that everything that you have not noticed yet in your subconscious and somewhere else, like, you know, like sort of like I'm digging them down with all these things, with all these questions, but sometimes we don't notice them. So this part of you will basically scan through everything and make sure all of these agreements are deleted, and now this part of you is basically cleaning out everything else that you have not like noticed. So I basically just think about this part of me, like you can think of like superhero or whatever you want, and I just imagine that part destroying all of these agreements. Next step, I reclaim all my energy, essences, and soul fragments that I have gone into disagreements. Basically, getting back all of your energy, your essence, your soul fragments. So, like, okay, like, all this energy I've spent getting back to people and not getting much out of it, for example, like, kind of like feeling exhausted and stuff. Like, no, fuck it. I'm just gonna bring back this empowerment where actually when I reply to people, I feel more like, hey, this is good. I'm gonna help people. I'm gonna do more stuff, and I'm gonna empower myself. So, like, I'm getting this energy back, my like soul essence. So basically part of your soul where like, you know, like it's just like part of you that is more agile, like has more to do, like more conscious, more aware. That part of me is back. And then again, like your soul fragments that is super engaged and enjoying to be with people, loving helping others, enjoying getting back to people, liking to communicate with others. Like I had this whole thing about like isolating myself from others and not being in touch and basically disconnecting, and like so like I don't have this big circle of people that I'm in touch with. It's basically part of me. So fuck that part. I don't need it anymore. I don't like it. And now we're gonna get this part of myself, and I don't actually have to get those parts back, like pull them in, because who would like to travel those parts here in this fucked up place? What you can do is like, okay, I see what kind of personalities I would like to have this energy and just keep giving it back and just keep replying to people and be interested and connecting with others and finding friends and blah 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 blah. And so like you think of these like personalities, characteristics that you would like, and you simply connect to parts of yourself that have it somewhere out there. Another part of you that has this ability that is like really into connecting with others, into giving as much as possible. You think of those things and you basically, like Neo from Matrix, you download the trait, you download the personality, and now it's becoming part of me. With all that is done, the last step is to expand the light of your true sovereign inner self to fill in all the areas that we have cleared. So with all the empties gone, with all the agreements gone, with everything that we have cleared out, with all the empty space, if we leave it as empty, someone else might come in. So we have to make sure we fill ourselves with everything, like let's say this light and kindness and good, everything that you want to have. Just like empower yourself, like, you know, like, hey, it's all up to you and how creative you can be and want to be. And so like I'm just gonna fill myself with like this excitement of getting back to others, and like, hell, I'm feeling hyped up and done. And that would be the session. Let's clap to Akvile because she spent like a lot of time talking about this shit. But if we were to talk about like how to revoke soul contracts, that would be a quickie on a journal. Since that is done, once you are aware of how to do this whole thing, you're sort of like, okay, I sort of see how it all works. I'm trying to bring my... Okay, I'm bringing my screen here. Oopsie. Yeah. Now that we are aware of how to do this whole method, how to remove all of these agreements, once you try it for a few times and you're like, okay, I sort of got a hang on it, I sort of get understanding, you don't have to go step by step, absolutely always cover it all. You, in general, okay, you make sure you remove all reinstatement clauses, agreements that come back after revocation, every other counterparty copy, like basically other beings that have your agreements. Two most important things. All of the imprints, like Command 12 is a big one. If you could cover some of those, is a good thing. But basically, once you know how it works, on the go, you're like, in the airport, flying around, like that was me. Like, I was basically in the airport, and I need to fly to America. All the, like, technologies, It's like someone like just launched an EMP where I have to fly out, like there's minutes left, and their tech locks up, and they're like, okay, can't do anything, sorry. And I'm like, I need to leave, I paid the money, like people are waiting for me, everything's planned out. And so like seeing the whole situation, I stop, okay, and from the situation, like, okay, I can't fly out, technology isn't working, it's basically all fucked up, I'm stuck here, I can't leave, I'm not gonna meet this person, blah, 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 blah. From the point of view right now where I am, whatever I'm experiencing at the moment, I try to look around, whatever I believe in, whatever I see, whatever I perceive, I list out the things, and I'm like, okay, these are all my agreements, I revoke that, no more, bye now. Boom, technology starts working. Computers turn on, I'm like, okay, we got it, like, yay! I'm like, so, basically what I'm trying to say is, once you know how it all works, once you are comfortable with it, you can do it on the go. You can drive in the car, you can be on a pod sitting and trying to do your business, you can make your tea or coffee, you can do something else, and on the go, wherever you are, if you know how this method works, if you see anything around yourself that you don't like, well, you can revoke these agreements and basically control your life. So that would be a way to explain how to revoke contracts, and that would be a place for me to take a break and let my throat rest a little bit, because I was talking a lot, but hopefully that makes sense. So I'll drink my water, I'll read more comments and see where the hell are we right now. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me know if you have any more questions and stuff. We can make in the future more videos and cover this whole thing, but that would be a quickie, a little thing to explain yourself. But basically, it's really important to make sure you're addressing things right. As in, like, I have health problems. I have financial problems. I have this and this and this. It cannot be general, because if you touch, like, I have health problems, what kind of health problems? Is your toe hurting? Or do you have myopia? Do you have, like, a thing with your taste receptors and stuff? What kind of problems? And if you just, like, health problems, like financial issues, it's too broad. You're not gonna get anywhere, because you're just gonna touch the surface and you're like, nothing changed, this thing doesn't work, fuck you, Akvile. Well, you have to be very specific. I changed your tea, yeah, there we go. You have to be very specific with what you're addressing. So once you say, let's say you have health problems, what kind of health problems? Well, let's say I have myopia. Maybe, let's say your stomach hurts, or specifically, or you're having like this like massive menstrual cramps and it just really hurts you. So you have to be like very specific with what kind of stuff is happening. Once you get specific, once you get your item, your label, just ask yourself questions, just talk it out, and there you go. So that would be my explanation of how to do it. Kind of like quickie, right? But there you go. That being said, I'm gonna allow myself to take a break from my throat and try to answer some more questions. But then again, like with these changes, like taking a rest, right? Workaholic now. We ruined it. Fuck. Now I can't stop talking. People, what the fuck? So that would be the new me, right? Okay. So what I'm saying is, sometimes once you're done with the session, you might feel results right away. You might feel results in a few days, in a week. Once you're done with the session, specific items you address, take some time and see what happens. As you are sort of like aware of your surroundings and how it all works, your next step is to see, you just addressed one thing out of this massive area. So when that is being done, you just saw like this, like let's say not getting back to as many people as I would like to. That was my item. But then again, like not spending time replying to people, not getting back to everyone, not doing plenty, like not doing 10 or 20 sessions throughout the day. And so like I would like try to find more things in that area of getting back to people. Like what other kind of issues do I have? Having more interest, having something more important to do. And these agreements, this is not something that you have to complete to finish the cycle. It's a thing that stops you from your whole full potential. And if you revoke something like I feel like this thing blah blah blah, or like regarding love and stuff, what you're revoking is something that controls your life. Just because you get rid of the agreement doesn't mean that you're gonna change and from now on this will not happen anymore. For example, feeling excited, or maybe I don't know, like overly excited about something, and this part, like while it seems really fun and good, all of a sudden like it seems like well, if this thing was gone, I could do so much more. And you get rid of disagreement like with the fear of like, well, goodbye this part of me, I will never see you again, like I'm just afraid of these changes but I have to do it. You're not getting rid of the good stuff. You're getting rid of the thing that controls your life, of the thing that sort of like makes you do stuff, because you, once you like get rid of these, like, I feel like I just have to love the person, I just have to be kind. You can remove have to be kind, and you will be kind. You will not feel like, oh my god, yes please, and you're like not gonna be jumping and kissing ass to everyone else. You're gonna be like, I do it because I want to, because I feel like it, because I like it, not because there's a thing that controls my life. So with these things, we're getting rid of limitations. We're getting rid of something that sort of like keeps us limited and doesn't allow us to be living our lives in the full potential, not allowing us to enjoy ourselves. We're removing something that sort of like makes us act a certain way, makes us feel a certain way, and all of these things. Once we are aware of this whole thing, we can get rid of it, and yeah, you can see the changes. And then again, like as you keep track of, like, let's say you just did the session, notice what pops up, because like sometimes we feel like, well, I still sort of have this issue, and it's not going to be the same. It's similar, it's familiar, but not the same thing. The wording will be different. Like maybe not getting back to as many people as I would like to, it was the one I removed, and then not wanting to get back to people, not wanting to spend my time writing back to everyone every day. These will be different issues. Similar way, similar stuff, but not the same. Once you start taking out the whole cluster, this whole thing falls apart. So if you take out the core things that control your life, that thing will not be controlling you. So now I can take a break, I guess. But yeah, like hopefully that sort of like explains the method. And I saw like a lot of people wrote to us, and also we have JB7 with all the nation. Like it's a massive thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Steph is asking, could I upload this document to my Reddit? Of course I can. This document, you meaning the specific commands for revocation and stuff? I can totally do that. For like revocations and the commands, I can do it. For the part of like agreements and stuff, do you want with agreements an item, or more like just the commands? That would be great if you were clear. Okay, relaxing a little bit. I'm just like running through comments on whatever everyone else said. Hey Pass was asking, if you and Rich made another video together, what would it be about? No idea. We don't really plan like, oh, we're gonna talk about this one today. It's more like spontaneous, like something comes up and you're like, let's talk about it. But if you have any offers, if you want us to touch any topics and stuff, feel free to let us know, and we can totally do it. Yeah, Monica is like saying that this is a pretty well how to break agreements, but it's frustrating how many new ones come up constantly. You solve one issue and there's another one. And that was the thing about the agreements. It's like peeling onion layers. You get rid of all these agreements and you got rid of the surface problems, but you keep finding the bigger things, the core things, and you're basically getting to things that really control your life. So, you know, it's non-stop work. Working on ourselves, getting better, it's kind of like never-ending work here, and depends how much you want to go for it. But yeah. Okay, Lou is asking, do I plan to do group sessions or classrooms to share or teach? I've thought about it, but I don't know. Like right now, like we did this whole soul contract thing. So we could gather a group of people and like basically choose, like let's say everyone that has a headache, everyone that has a stomach ache, or something else. If people would have certain things, we could actually ask questions and as a group look into these things and do it. But like, I haven't thought of the details or anything. So if you have any offers or anything, feel free to share. Marnie was asking regarding my email, so it's akvilesav@yahoo.com. It's basically my YouTube nickname plus at yahoo.com. So, yeah. Okay, Seth is asking, is it possible to improve your visualization skills? And I would say, heck yeah. I'm looking around if I can show an example. Yeah, give me a second. We might do something. We'll see if it works. Be right back, people. Yeah, be right back. We're gonna be here. Alright, back to it, people. Okay. Hello. So, let's see if everything is working. Nice music. Yeah, we had something. So, regarding improving your visualization skills, right? What you need is a candle. You need to bring yourself a candle, and you need matchsticks. So we're gonna light up the freaking candle. And, let's see. Yay! Don't play with fire, kids, right? Okay, so we got a lit up candle, and we're gonna, let's make it dark if possible. Yeah, maybe I can sort of like remove the image. There we go, better. Well, anyway, nothing's new, right? So what you do, let's say we have a candle, right in front of us. So we're gonna have a candle, where can you see it? Right here. Your job is to sort of like look at the candle, and the very point where you see the fire, like the very tip where the like it's burning and stuff, you start looking at it. And you're just focusing it, clear your mind, stay quiet, and just stare at it, like still as can be. Don't have anything else in the background. Do it like in the complete darkness, so I could actually even turn off that shit. See if that helps. And basically you just sort of like stare at the candle. Whoops, you're not seeing me. So yeah, so you just like stare at the candle, complete darkness. And for a while, as you're staring at the candle, you're paying attention to that like bluish fire that at the very tip. Spend a few minutes looking at it. You blow it up, you close your eyes, and as you close your eyes after looking at the candle for a while, nothing else, just the candle itself, just the very tipping point. Once you close your eyes, you will see this like red dot in the middle. Focus on the red dot. Focus on the red dot and just keep your eyes there, because like let's say as you close your eyes you might see like lots of little colors and stuff. It's gonna be completely dark, but after this candle you sort of like looking at one point, you close your eyes and that sort of like point stays there. Now your attention is to, like your job is to stay completely focused on that like one point. Don't think about anything, don't focus somewhere else, just that dot, keep on going. As you're going at this dot, it's gonna expand, it's gonna get bigger, like a portal. You might have more visuals pop up, but your job is to look at this candle for a while, blow it up, and the point that stays with your like mental imagery and stuff, you sort of like close your eyes, you're gonna see it, And you keep on looking at one point and expanding it, and it's gonna get bigger, bigger, bigger to the point where you actually are able to see things. That's like one of the easiest ways you can actually practice. Is candle gazing compared to sun gazing or not at all? I haven't tried sun gazing that much, so I could not say. But with a candle, for me it works. Like for sun gazing, good luck. But I don't know. Like I haven't tried it myself, so can't really say. As you're looking at stuff, basically focusing on that one point, you're gonna be able to expand your visuals and see. It's gonna like pop up with more things, and your job is to stay in the neutral way, not get too happy. Like, hey, I'm seeing stuff. Like, no, it's gonna change the vibration. That thing is gonna disappear. So like, stay somewhere in the middle, like a neutral and stuff, and with this image, you sort of like will start popping more images. The rest is like, taking time. It's like working a muscle. So you have to practice a lot daily or something. If you want your muscles to grow, you have to practice a lot, right? So same with this visual thing. If you want something to happen, you have to practice. So buy a big ass candle like I did and practice like watching it. It's gonna be a great practice for quiet mind, for quieting everything. So shutting off your mind will turn off this hypnosis that you have over yourself, and that will allow to see more, to have more access. At the same time, you're practicing this one point and it's going to expand, and it might be like a tunnel, but once you start going through it, you might actually be able to get out of body. So like practice this like even before you go to bed, before you go to sleep. This might actually help you to get out and stuff. But that would be something to try out. So this is just like one of the ways out of like lots of many. So, I'm just like chilling right now. Shut up. Okay. Alright. What else do we got? Where else are we? Sarcid is saying, Anouk thinks I have your memories and I'm your aspect. I don't know if you have plans, blah blah blah. I don't care about Anouk. I blocked him on YouTube, and he sent me like, I'm blocking this guy because one thing, he started like bitching me out and stuff, and I don't care what people say about me. It's fine, it's your own opinion. But then he's picking out on people on my community. I'm not allowing that shit. And then he started spamming me with stories about like, hey look, this is like the girl I have sex with and blah blah blah. And basically like, dude, please, I don't need to know about your sexual fantasies. Don't get me involved in stuff. And he's basically blaming me because the girls he fucked don't like look at him anymore and stuff. Like, dude, I don't even fucking know you. So anyway, whatever it is about Anouk, I'm turning it off. So fuck it all. Fuck Anouk. How old am I? I'm 23. So that'd be the thing. Yep. I'm just sort of looking through more questions and stuff. Bless people, we've been streaming for like 3 hours, so I can still keep on going and maybe answering more questions, or start wrapping it up and switching over. So let me know your preferences, and I probably can still answer a few questions if you want to, or we can wrap it up and leave more fun for weekend. I'm not going to be on Friday. I'll have other things to do, but we can definitely do more streams. I'm still sort of like just chilling and going through the questions. And where's my cute little music going? It's been a while. Okay. I'm also say like she missed a lot, but glad you're here. I'm glad you're here too. Yeah, like I think the part where we did the whole soul contract thing, I can cut it out separately, put timestamps and everything so that you people would have it easy. And I can also upload the whole thing to Reddit so that you would have document for contracts and stuff. And if you need any help, let me know. We can also help you out. Okay, so like I think like right now it's a good place for me to take a break to the point where like I was talking a lot. We had lots of these like hype moments and like with the soul contract thing. So I think it would be great to actually sort of like calm down and like chill, which means we're gonna sort of wrap up the stream. And yeah, like I don't know, like again, a lot of you are here just watching, asking questions, donating, and everything, and I really appreciate you all being here. Just like having an interest, having these many questions, and just I don't know, like giving me a reason to be here on YouTube and do more than I do. And you know, like thanks to you, I did my own like soul contract work. Hey, that's good. So like I don't know, like it's awesome having so many people supporting me, and I just want to give it a bow back. So yeah, I don't know, like I on my free time, maybe on Friday, I'm gonna cut up some of these streams, and we'll see. Okay, like there's yeah, I'm just sort of like reading the last comments. Anyway, people, yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up for now. I'm gonna see you on the weekend, probably similar time. I don't know, but yeah, Friday's off. We'll see what happens, and so like feel free to gather up more questions. And if I haven't answered any of your questions, be sure to copy paste them and save them if you want me to address it next time. And yeah. So I guess like I'm not good at like I'm gonna wrap it up or whatever. So I'm just gonna say thank you everyone for being here, for giving me this opportunities to stream and talk and be myself and share all these things. And I'll see you next time then. So thank you all, and you take care. Bye bye.